cut or uncut?
Okay, we're going to come right back to what you're talking about. So his question is, circumcised or uncircumcised? Do you have a preference? Starting with you, go ahead.
Circumcised. I don't really care.
For health purposes, circumcised, just so they don't run into health issues or any infection or anything.
This is for like somebody
Yeah.
who'd be interested in
Yeah.
dating.
Circumcised.
But either way.
Circumcised for sure.
Circumcised.
My husband.
Period. What's the answer?
Your husband?
Yeah,
Yeah, whatever he got going on.
whatever he That's what I want.
Okay.
No
She's not
one,
trying to put his
nothing else.
business out there.
May I ask how long you've been married?
It's been a little over a year now.
Congrats.
A little bit. Wait, so would it be a deal breaker if he was not cut?
Are you asking me?
No, the whole panel. Because all of you said cut. Is it a deal breaker if he's uncut?
Yes. I don't
Deal
think
breaker.
I've ever been with a guy who hasn't. So.
For health purposes, I would say, yeah.
Health purposes.
Scientifically, there's more bacteria and buildup under there. Yeah.
Well, there can be.
There can be. I mean, unless
if
if you
he's
clean yourself
clean.
right. But you know what? A lot of these guys
A
don't.
lot of them do not.
A lot of them don't.
Have
And
you
I
ever,
mean, it's
have
not.
you ever encountered an uncut guy?
Yes.
And it was unclean? It was unclean?
I would say yes. I mean, it wasn't consensual.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
It wasn't consensual.
They don't.
I'm not getting into anything. I'm not. I'm just. That's just.
Alright.
That's a statement. That's a statement.
Wait, I'm just
I'm
curious.
not
Like,
saying what topic.
was it at, like, were you at a party when this happened, or?
Something like that.
Okay. What about you?
I don't think I've ever been with somebody who wasn't, so.
Beaten
I
Cheeks
can't tell you if it
donated
was a deal breaker for me or not.
$69. The delusion this singlehood mother states. Cash at me $4,000, pay for our first dinner, pay my bills, and I will make sure your money is my money, and will destroy your Ebonics talk. Drizzle, drizzle.
All right. Thank you, Beaten Cheeks. And we also have LP. He's about to come in here. Wait, so deal breaker if he's uncut?
I haven't.
Loose Pussy Energy donated $69.
Nick, you
Rapper
open
Chick
the
needs to shut America's most wanted ass up. You not hard at
Most
all.
wanted ass.
You softer than Charmin.
Sounds like a cool
Stop
song.
the damn cap.
Malibu
You let him hit it raw. Didn't have second thoughts. Now you a single mom.
That's a song, by the way.
Yeah.
Song lyrics.
Malibu's
Okay, quick answer. Deal breaker if he's uncut.
I don't know. I've never been with somebody, so, like, that wasn't, so I don't know if it's a deal breaker.
So every guy you've been with has been cut.
Yeah.
No.
Into the mic,
No.
please.
No?
Were you just not here for the question? I can repeat it.
I'm like, she's like, what? There's a 50% chance that this is the right answer.
Would it be a deal breaker for you if the guy was uncut? Circumcision.
No.
Well, okay.
No.
Okay. And actually, I'm gonna have to boost the TTS here. We've already gone over the first 30 minutes. I'm gonna get in Killa of Cereal's questions. We'll come back to your thing. We'll come back to relationship status. Killa of Cereal asked, "Can you explain?" God damn, bro. Okay, I'll do it, man. Can you explain what the fabric of American culture is in modern society? And how you think it affects modern dating society? Start with you. Go around the table. I'll be right back.
I'm not gonna lie, my mind goes completely blank when you ask that question, so.
Well, wait, what was the question?
Like, that sounds like it was written by ChatGPT. Not gonna lie,
for
like
real.
The,
I
the
have-
It
fabric.
was written by Harvard
I haven't answered
University.
that.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So they were asking, how has modern society, how has it changed dating? And I have a couple things
It has
that.
definitely changed dating.
Okay,
Yeah,
100%
so
dating.
we're getting a lot of. So I mean, I obviously am in the adult entertainment world, and I've done OnlyFans and all that, but I don't have one anymore because I don't believe in the commercial.
Brian needs Xanax donated $69.
Brian
You
needs
gotta get on some anger management, bro. LMFAO, you get stressed.
Can you some magnesium? Can you get some magnesium? Yeah. Okay. So, anyways, the magnesium. That got me chilling.
Yeah.
Magnesium.
Living.
Man, you just relax, But and so they asked, how has modern dating changed the landscape in the '90s? we didn't deal with all this crazy stuff happening on the street. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't get these crazy reports in the 90s. Like, maybe they happened, but probably it was like 1 in 200. Now it's 1 in like 10.
Yeah.
We're getting a lot of rags to riches stories because the whole OnlyFans things, what it does is, I've done OnlyFans before. I don't do it any longer, just because it's very difficult for me to keep up with the consumption of the pornographic material. I believe that, with certain things, so we're getting a lot of people who never had money get money, and now we're watching their reactions in society, which is we are watching, they go on a plane and they're like, oh my gosh, you're being a jerk to everybody, or you're doing something. They go, well, I have 1 million followers, whatever, and I make money or whatever, and I've seen this, and we're going to get that because this is their first encounter with a large amount of money, and it can really change the way that certain people react. I am really, really tired of watching women. Okay, if you're going to do bedroom stuff and bedroom nude lingerie, whatever, do it in the bedroom. Don't do it when I've seen people walk out, not in bikinis, in full-on lingerie, in public, in front of families, and it really pisses me off. I really don't like that. I've never done that as a model. I've only gone out in a bikini at a beach. Like, that's it. And I really think that behavior actually needs to stop. I think that it distorts things for people, and it puts parents in a really precarious situation of having to explain what that just was. Why did they watch a person with like a gag ball in their mouth? And that's one of my concerns. So I think that it affects dating because these kids watch this behavior and they see these people walking around in broad daylight with lingerie on, and they're just like, mommy, what is that? And this mom's like, fuck, I gotta explain that like now, like to this, like, how am I gonna explain this to like a 6-year-old? Like, good God, and have some, I don't believe in shaming people because shame is stored in the body and it can lead to diseases. But I do believe that there needs to be a healthy amount of shame to keep the common decency of society going.
Do you feel like a lot of
romance,
because like influencers and tons of people are on OnlyFans and like posting stuff, like they don't really know
they don't know
maneuver
they've
that.
Never been trained in media.
Right.
So we look
And
at K-pop stars. So I've been trained in media. So I work for a PR company and I've been trained in media. I've been my family's been in entertainment for over 100 years, and the Rosas family has been there. However, there's certain people in the Rosas family that I can't disclose because they're in children's entertainment, and I don't want to risk, even though I'm in adult entertainment and it's completely legal, I don't want to risk their jobs, so I don't want to say that. But a lot of these entertainers really need to look into media training because these K-pop stars, they're groomed to be a star, and not like groomed in a bad way. They're molded, they're manicured to be a star. You need media, absolutely, and that's negative.
Should be talked about.
And that's negative. But manicured is the word I should have used. They are manicured to be stars, and you need to be manicured to be a star because if you represent something and people like you probably should do media training, honestly.
Especially in the adult film industry.
Exactly.
I absolutely agree. I mean, I'm all for supporting that and doing what you want to do, like whatever career path you want to take. But
oh, here. There you go.
Oh, okay.
Speak straight.
Yeah.
Like, look at Abigail if you're speaking.
Looking at Abigail. What was I even?
They need to be manicured to be celebrities if they really want to do that, and they really need to like dedicate their life to it.
I gotta move things on.
Okay, sorry.
Were you guys actually answering the question, or did you?
Yeah, no, I answered it. Yeah.
Did you guys answer?
No.
Yeah.
I don't even remember the question at this point.
Well, it affects dating because that's what people see on television, and that's how they see real life like that.
Hold on.
That definitely
guys,
are going on.
I need you guys to be paying attention.
I mean, you left.
I literally asked the question right before I left, and it came in multiple times. Okay.
Yeah, but it was a very, very big question.
We were having a good conversation over here. I'll tell you that.
Okay, so.
I have a big piece.
After your opinion. Wait, okay. Can you explain what the fabric of American culture? Killer of Cereal, I fucking love you. I'm already tilted. I'm already tilted today. This is a dog shit question, but I'll ask it. Okay. Explain what the fabric of American culture is in modern society and relate it to modern dating.
I want to say, I guess, the fabric.
You gotta please kindly speak into the microphone.
I'm sorry.
She was thinking.
Lo siento.
No, if she speaks, she needs to be in the fucking microphone. You don't need to challenge me every time I'm trying to get the show on the fucking rails. Do you understand?
But it's just kind of fun.
Yeah, how about you don't do it? Just fucking drop the fucking attitude. Go ahead.
I just don't want to.
It's about to get heated.
I was gonna say oops, sorry. Bro, I got the clause. Anyway, I was gonna say that I think the biggest issue right now is arguably social media, especially the way it portrays young minds and dating, like pornography and stuff like that. And that's so common. Like Twitter just legalized porn, and there's nothing wrong with it. But if it gets found at a young age, like per se, like I first found it by accident when I was like 12, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, so
Literally.
I think that honestly, like, I don't want to say it like poisons your brain, but it kind of does if you're unaware of the repercussions of that, especially if it's found at a young age. So I guess the internet, pornography, and the way that kind of portrays that affects modern dating.
Completely agree.
Yeah, what she said.
I agree the same.
I think that casual sex and just being so casual situationships, I think it just allows people to be unhappy and be used. And people, in my opinion, will pretend to be like a certain type of girl to keep a guy sometimes, because they think that's what he will like, and they don't want to lose him, and they think maybe eventually he will like them. And social media is pretty much all fake. So I think people, just too casual about sex and love, and I think it's kind of ruined our generation.
It is very true.
Definitely.
I think social media is definitely ruining it. I feel like it's dividing men and women a lot. I mean, women are being told that they don't need a man. They're being told to go get the bag, to be independent women. That divides them. Men are, I mean, I've seen a video, and the comment section was...
Dude, holy shit, calm the F down, Brian. Take some deep breaths. You're more agitated than usual today, and it's annoying. They aren't being that dumb. Really, bro?
We're not, thank you.
He needs a Xanax.
Bro, I'm just gonna be honest. Like, this is one of the most fucking feral days we've had, dude.
What is like, what do you even mean by feral?
Like, you're kind of feral.
How am I feral?
These girls are fucking nearly 2 hours. These two girls are 2 hours late.
My friend died.
Yeah, if you could just like have any type of sympathy, that would be amazing. But what do you mean by feral?
Why don't you just Google what feral means?
No, but I'd like you to elaborate it in this
I think
context.
you can just Google it.
No, I think in this
I think you can
context,
Google
I think in this context, it's
Furthermore,
important for you to elaborate on
we
feral.
had 2 no-shows. We had 2 flakes.
And that
Madison's
makes
not
me
here.
feral?
People late, but we
Okay.
here.
Yeah, you've been feral. You have an attitude.
So feral means attitude? I don't know. Like, I feel like if you look that up, that's not what it's gonna say.
Why don't you Google it?
Why don't you Google it?
Sassy.
It's a sassy man apocalypse, right?
That's what I said. That's what I said earlier. It 100%
I know
is.
that most of you have moved through your lives in a very sort of pampered way because of the female privilege that you all have, but
Sure.
I tend to lean on this. Yo, shut the fuck up. You don't need to be fucking being disrespectful.
I didn't say a single word.
Why don't you repeat the gesture you were just making? Is that not disrespectful?
I just think it's funny.
You think it's funny?
I think you've said a lot of disrespectful things.
Give me an
so-
example.
I don't know, just like completely interrogating her friend's death, also just ignoring it at the same time. Like,
How did I ignore it?
she would speak on it, you'd be like, yeah, whatever, moving on to the next person. But then you'd also be like, how did they die?
Literally never said
like,
that.
blah, blah, blah.
By the way, this is a panel show, so yeah, she said her piece. I moved it on. I'm the host of the show. I will move things on whenever I like to.
You do that.
I guess feral,
Holy
in my
fuck,
opinion.
bro, this chick's a...
I think
you got
that
a
feral
bad fucking
podcast.
attitude.
This is gonna get you
Horrible.
more views though. Like if I'm being completely honest, like not on any disrespectful shit. Like honestly, if you have more beef like that, if you want to get a reaction out of someone, which as a
You're smart.
podcast host, that's what you're trying.
Honestly,
to
I'm
do,
helping
obviously.
100%.
Yeah, no, but there's it's cool if you can have an actual, I prefer to actually have back and forth over, you know, actual conversation topics instead of somebody
You think just asking girls like, oh, what's your situation? What's your relationship? What's your relationship is back and forth? What we were doing was back and forth. You just asking, what's your body count? What's your blah, blah, blah?
How
What's
many
your blah, blah,
subscribers does your podcast have?
blah? Girl, I don't have a fucking podcast.
How many?
I
Okay.
don't, like, do
So
you think
don't
numbers
know-
matter?
If
The
you're trying
Bronasons
to lecture
donated
me over
$69.
how I can make a
Kick
successful
the blue
podcast,
sweater chick out
yeah, it
now
does
and the
fuck
I'm
me.
just
closet
saying you
dyke
want back and
softball
forth. You're
player.
not doing back and
Prove
forth.
that your friend died. If
We're
my friend died, I would not be on
one's
there.
fucking
I would be
unhinged.
drinking and listening to Creed.
Can I answer that?
Kick them.
She wasn't
Bang
even
the
gonna come,
gavel.
actually.
Can I answer that?
I told her to come.
I had a commitment. She told me to come, and I was late, which I DM'd the podcast and asked if I should still come because I knew it was disrespectful to be late. But because I had a commitment,
What time?
was,
What time was the funeral?
It was like 10 a.m. And I live 2 hours away from here.
You're in LA, right?
I'm
Yeah.
like Calabasas.
Hollywood, Calabasas. I just moved back to Hollywood.
So I guess where I'm a little confused, you would have had to leave around 2 p.m. You didn't message our page until 3:18. You wrote apologies. Me and Josie are running very late. I was at my friend's funeral this morning.
Yes, at 10 a.m.
I've been to funerals.
Not the day after, though. Me neither. That's why I didn't know what was going on. It
Right.
was very
So, but
sudden.
I understand that you had this last minute thing come up. But, you know, given that you had a predetermined plan to be here, one, you could have given us a bit more notice. You would have known at 2
I didn't have
p.m.
notice that my friend died.
No, but
I
you
didn't
went
have
to the
notice.
funeral.
I went to the funeral to
At
be
10
respectful.
at 10 a.m.
Is there something wrong with that?
No,
Holy
there's-
fuck, dude,
Would
she's
you-
a human
no, like,
being.
no, genuinely,
She's
would
a
you-
human being.
Okay,
If your
but-
friend, no, hear me out. Genuinely, like, please.
If I had agreed to be somewhere and something came up, I would have just done the courteous thing and let them know, hey, sorry, I'm going to be running late, as soon as I found out.
No, yeah, it was a very rough morning. It was a very
Mm-hmm.
rough night for me.
Okay?
I'm not. That it was just.
That's
it was
fine.
sudden.
And
so if
I have
you,
empathy for that. I'm sorry to hear
No, I
about
appreciate
your
No,
friend.
you do not.
I literally just said it. Shut the fuck up. So,
Okay, do not speak to me like that.
you're the one with the fucking attitude.
I'm just saying you
I'm-
don't have fucking empathy.
This is, speaking of empathy, this is that
She has something to
famous-
say.
may I?
Go ahead.
Thank you. If you had a friend's funeral that happened very suddenly, which I don't.
I would if
Would
if
you
I,
show up to the
if-
funeral?
He's saying he would have
So,
told. He would have
so
told.
if
told
I had a
him
doctor's
earlier.
appointment, if I had a doctor's appointment at 5 p.m. and something came up and I had to cancel it, I would have called as soon as possible and just done the courteous
normally
thing. Hold on,
I am.
hold on. Done the courteous thing, and just said, taken 30 seconds. Hey, I'm very sorry. Something came up. I'm not going to be able to make it. That's it.
No, yeah, that would have been the courteous thing to do. But
he
So
doesn't
you
understand
admit-
that
you
you were
admit
up all
that
night.
you erred
You were
here.
crying all night. You were running around doing stuff, going to the funeral. You weren't even sure if you really wanted to come because of that. You're calling me like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, let's just go if you feel up to it. And she was like, halfway, yeah, I do. Halfway, I don't. And she was kind of like, oh, I kind of don't. And I told her, I was like, well, I already got ready. Like, let's,
Well, it
like, if you
wasn't-
want to go,
yeah.
let's go. So then we ended up going. We were late. Yeah, but I mean, this girl was freaking Hurricane Sandy, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it was. I'm not saying that it wasn't. I'm not saying that it was courteous. I definitely could have done more. And I'm a very punctual and on-time person. I'm a student. I work 2 jobs. I have a freaking studio internship. Like, I'm a very punctual person. I have a very busy schedule that I have to manage because I'm very focused on my education and making money. So I do call ahead. When I'm late to work, I call ahead. But today, this specific thing, this was so sudden, this hurt me so bad that this was like the last of my worries. And I know that that's not
Yeah.
respectful, that's not courteous, but courtesy wasn't on my mind. And I can
Yeah.
admit that's not the right thing necessarily. And I apologize for that. And I'm sorry that we were late. and
Girl,
I'm sorry
you
to
do
all of
not
you
need.
that we
I'm
were
sorry.
late.
Your friend passes away yesterday. What's your name again, Brian? Your friend passes away yesterday, Brian. Is the first thing you're gonna do when you find out your friend passes away and be like, oh my God, whatever podcast. I'm so sorry, I can't make it in. Like, no.
it's not the first thing I'm going to do. However,
See, and it wasn't the first thing
shut
you
the
are a
fuck
bit
up. Let me
older,
finish.
though.
If you're going to
Can you
ask me,
stop
friends.
saying that
no,
to me?
you keep interrupting. You've been rude this entire fucking time. I'm matching your energy. If I'm speaking,
I think I
stop
spoke
interrupting.
first.
You asked me a question. I was responding to your question. Do you understand? So if I'm going to be responding to your
ahead.
question, you need to allow me to respond instead of just fucking bulldozing and refusing to let me fully answer the question. So, yes, if something catastrophic happened,
Oh my God.
still
Lulu
gotta fucking
donated
change this.
$69. Perfect example of females only being able to see when they've been disrespected, but don't take accountability when they disrespect others. Typical pampered my feelings more important than yours.
I mean, debunked.
So
'cause
hold
I
on,
just
I'll answer her
apologized.
question. So yes, if I became aware of, I suppose, would you consider this a dear friend or just an acquaintance?
He was a dear friend.
Dear friend. Okay. You known him for a year? Okay. So if it was a guy who I knew for a year and he was a dear friend and I found out, I would obviously be upset. I would be distraught and I would prioritize, okay, can I make it to the funeral? If I had any plans for that day that required me to clear my schedule, I would have done the courteous thing, because two things can coexist at the same time. You can be frantic and moving around when it comes to, okay, funeral plans, and you can also realize, well, I told these people I have a commitment. I don't know if this is just me. I don't know if this is just, I'm crazy for trying to be respectful of other people's time, even if I'm going through some crazy shit. I would just do the courteous thing and just reach out and say, hey, something came up. I'm going to be really late. I'm going to try to give them as much advance notice as possible.
Right.
That's it.
Well,
Maybe some people don't operate that way. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, she's a little younger than you, and I also feel like, she's 19. I don't know how old you're, like 30.
40 maybe.
But I'm...
God, you're a fucking bitch, you know that? What's your fucking problem?
I don't know.
Yeah.
So I just feel like...
I'm gonna have to kick her, I probably.
Mexicana, esta peras no vale nada.
I can't read that.
Sin
Para la
embargo.
chica mexicana, estas peras no valen nada. Sin embargo, me encantan los tacos. Okay, fuck you. Y las mujeres mexicanas. Casi miente, Brian patea la asada de la usada azul del pana oro. Ahora? He was speaking like gibberish, literally. And he's saying, I love tacos and Mexican chicks. Okay.
As you
Me
should.
too.
Yeah.
The way you're conducting yourself right now, the way you're conducting yourself with me, have you ever conducted yourself this way with the guy you claim was mentally abusive towards you? Did you ever conduct yourself that way towards him?
We're not going there.
I don't think we're going to
Because
go
I
there.
think it's perhaps you who's the abusive one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really think you know me at all. Or
Well, it's
know-
interesting. You're making quite a lot of judgments and knee-jerk assessments about me.
I'm actually
But
not. I just think
you've
you're
literally
kind of
done
like a
it multiple
dick.
times.
I haven't made
Cool.
any.
So okay.
I
Cool.
just responded
I'm a dick.
to
You're
you.
a bitch.
I
Cool.
just
Do you agree?
You've called me a bitch multiple times. Have
Yeah.
I given a single fuck? No.
And you've called me an asshole multiple times.
And
before-
you've given many
before.
fucks, man. You walked off the fucking stage, so.
I had to fix the camera angles.
Yeah.
Holy fuck, bro. Do you have a question? What's your relationship like with your parents?
With my parents, yeah, I knew that one was coming. It's great. I love both my parents.
They still together?
No.
Okay. What's your relationship like with your father?
I don't feel like I need to tell you any of this.
I'm just curious.
I'm just not going to tell you.
Fuck me.
You're just not going to answer the question?
Correct. Plead the fifth. I know, it's troubling.
I'm pretty sure you just came on intentionally just to troll.
I don't know. I was like in the road and you guys just approached me, so I didn't really come on here. You guys kind of asked me to come on, so.
Yeah, that's right. But
Yeah.
you've kind of come on with like a very nasty attitude.
Not really. I just think you kind of
Yeah.
ask ridiculous questions.
Yes, fuck off.
You ask
me-
like dumb questions. And I know they all agree. They're
You agree?
No.
You
No.
agree?
I think
You agree?
he's been doing this for a long time. He knows how to get views.
Yeah, I think he's smart, and I think he's just kind of picking at certain things.
Exactly.
And
I think
I'm not picking at
Exactly.
I'm literally asking you guys about your dating history. It's
yeah,
a
it's not
dating
that
show.
that you're picking at.
It's the questions I'm asking are totally contextual.
Yeah, we're not saying anything, or I'm not saying anything about that, but I'm more like just picking at the,
yeah.
poking the bear, man.
Well, I mean, it depends. That's
And she
honestly
poking the
his
bear back.
for
It's
that.
it's definitely both ways.
Yeah, you're poking the bear. I'm poking the bear back. Like, what's the problem with that?
I'm not poking the bear. I'm asking legitimate questions.
Yeah.
I think the fact that you're a guest.
But you were
that
asking
was
her like her
brought onto the
relationship with her
show.
father and like
You're
all
asking me
that.
her-
That kind of that kind
what
of
did
could be
you say
offensive.
before? Oh my god.
You're trying to
But
go
then
into
again,
my
it's not out of
like
the blue.
relationship. You're asking who was the abuser, what kind of abuse, like what kind of fucking human asks somebody that? I wouldn't even ask my like closest
this
friend
woman-
that.
You're the one who brought up abuse.
You're the
You
one who
brought it up.
asked me why
Yeah, it's fair
we
game.
weren't together anymore. I said it was a mentally abusive relationship. You're like, oh, what kind of abuse? Did he hit you? Blah 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 blah. Like, who the fuck asks that?
That's not how I framed it.
You said, did he hit
Yeah,
you?
I'm-
Same fucking question.
That's literally not what I said. I asked if it was physically abusive.
That's the same thing.
physically abusive, did he hit you? That's the same thing.
No, it's not. The words are literally different.
Oh my God.
You think you don't think it's fair game to ask a question?
I just feel like the questions you ask them for a very specific reason. And I think you're strategic about what you're doing.
Of course.
And I respect it. I know what you're doing. And I think you're doing.
What am I doing?
I think you're good at it.
Fuck.
What am I doing?
Have mercy with us.
You're just trying to get some content. And I respect that. But I'm just not going to give you
literally
that.
asking you guys questions.
Okay. So continue asking your questions.
Well, I mean, the questions technically weren't covered in what we were DM'd with the question rack, so I think that caught some of us off guard. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. Like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
What question? I don't even know what you're referencing now.
Like,
I'm just going to move it on.
Like, what's the relationship with my father?
What's the deal with my friend's death? It's sus to have a funeral. I know it sounds sus, but that's like
oh, well, your friend passed at 2. You should have been here at 4. Like, that's fucking weird.
Man.
I know that might not be exactly what it was, but you were questioning why she wasn't here when her friend passed yesterday.
Can I say something?
Like, hello?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Let's just say he was your boss and you had to be at work and someone died and you decided to not show up. If you just say last minute, oh, well, sorry, I had a funeral, they would expect you. It's kind of the same thing. It's if you're expected to be somewhere. I mean, if someone died and I had to go to work, the first thing I would do is call out of work because I don't want to lose the respect of my employer, my coworkers. I don't want to leave that shift to fall on someone else. It's just
not at all. But this is a shift.
But it's not like your mind just goes blank when those things happen. Like
that's exactly what happens when you have diagnosed PTSD.
I mean, I've definitely
exactly
been in situations where I was super frantic and like things were going
like I was
crazy.
like not
and
okay, and I'm okay most of the time.
And what you're saying is valid as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a commitment to make. Like I am in the wrong. I can admit that.
And her friend did die, and I mean, to like elaborate a little bit on it, I guess, her friend is an artist who gave her a lot of like placements and things like that. So that's why she's really distraught about him passing, because it's not like this person was just, I mean, it was more than really a friend. It was kind of a business relationship you guys had as well, from what I understand at least.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was...
But you're not really speaking
I mean, all we're saying is if he, everyone feels bad, of course, if it did happen. Yeah. It's just like, he's just saying, hey, it would have felt better if you would have been like, look, I'm really sorry. I should have texted you or said something.
I mean, that's what I said.
She just apologized to him. So, and I'm saying, like, she's 19. Like, I don't know if you can really... Not that she's probably one of the most mature 19-year-olds I know, but
no, I do. Really
and it's interesting,
it's kind of
like answering for her too.
Yeah, well, because I feel you guys are attacking her. So, and he's and like, I just don't like seeing that, and I don't feel like she knows how to respond to all the questions properly sometimes. And I'm not saying like you're not intelligent.
No, I don't.
But I know you haven't slept last night.
Is like I didn't.
Yeah, and I also know you haven't slept at all. I know what's going on with you, so that's why I feel entitled to speak on it a little bit.
You also have to understand on this topic is that we've probably had on over 1,000 guests. Every single week we do shows Sunday, Tuesday. Mind you, I believe, I don't recall the precise details. We've had you scheduled previously.
And my car blew out. My transmission blew out.
If I recall correctly, you let us know like 2 hours before the show.
Because my car transmission blew out when I was on the road.
But so you understand, and we've had a couple girls here who've been on the show before. They've seen it firsthand. Some people have legitimate excuses. A lot of the girls who come on the show, they lie.
Definitely.
They make up some bullshit. For example, we've had girls who've said, my car, I had a car issue, broke down. And they'll send us a photo even. And it's local here. They'll send us, we had this couple weeks ago. In the photo, it was a cloudy day. Now, I live in the same area. It was clear skies and sunny the whole day. Here's my car broken down from today. So people will lie. We've had girls who say, oh, I'm sick. Oh, something happened. I can't make it. And then we look at their Instagram later. They're at the club. They're at the bar. They're on a boat. They're on a yacht. A lot of people lie, okay?
No, they do lie.
I'm not saying you're lying. I actually believe you.
Well, I don't blame you.
I actually believe you.
Assuming that.
But a lot of people are liars. They'll come up with, my dog ate my homework type shit. Mm-hmm. So I am skeptical in general when people choose to flake on plans. Now this can be dating related, it can be professionally related. People tend to lie.
Well,
people lie
especially when
frequently.
You're put on the spot like this, because you're put on the spot. And on the spot right now, I'm driving my dad's Chevy Equinox. I drive a 2016 Chevrolet.
I'm not saying you're lying.
No, I'm just saying, no, I know you're not attacking me.
I'm giving you the reason for why I'm skeptical when people come up with, oh, here's why I'm late. Here's why I can't make
No,
it.
he's saying people do it all the time.
No,
Like, people
I'd
lie all the
imagine
time,
that.
which
That's
we had
why I
two
was
other girls
so.
no show today.
No, I understand. That's why I was so like, I need to get here today because I failed to that commitment last time because some like crazy like it was like the stupidest shit. Like I started the car and it wouldn't go forward because the transmission blew and it's literally still in the shop. Like it's just like I don't know. I need to get like a rabbit's foot or something. But like I don't know.
It's okay. It's all good. We're gonna keep things moving. I appreciate that you were able to make it here today.
I apologize for being late.
It's okay. I thank you for your apology. Okay, so
I appreciate it.
we're gonna get back. We're gonna get back. You were saying something about what you want from a man.
Oh, yeah. Back to that. Back to this controversial subject. So what, like, what do I want from a man? That's what you're asking me?
Yeah, you were saying how you want a guy to pay for all your bills and stuff.
Pretty much. I feel like men don't really like, and just from my own relationship experiences, and just being a person who was really loyal and held things down, made most of the money, went to college, moved from Wisconsin to Phoenix to California, and kind of held the team up and tried to put motivation into a man and all that. I just feel like men only really, I won't say this will even make them loyal or whatever, but I feel like they have to invest into you for them to like really be, I don't know, like stable with you. I feel like if they don't invest in you, then it, you end up, that's why women just end up in these situations where it's like, oh, I have a kid and he cheated on me and all this happened, and then and now I'm left with nothing, and now I gotta raise this kid by myself and all this stuff. Well, I feel like you didn't have a standard going into the relationship, like this is my standard. I'm not dating you. I'm not having sex with you unless this is met. Because once they do that, I feel like once those requirements are met and standards are met, it's gonna be a lot harder for them to leave you, a lot harder for them to like move on. So that's my take on it.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You said if he's paying for all your stuff, you're bringing to the table your pretty self.
Yeah.
If a man was just attractive, very attractive, and that was it, and you were with him, would you stay with him?
No, I don't date men based on their attraction. I don't date them based on their looks.
So, don't you think it's a bit hypocritical that you expect him to put in all this effort?
I feel like men definitely date based on looks. I feel like women don't, so I don't feel like, sure, there's a double standard on stuff, but, society is the way it is. And I feel like women need to have more standard for themselves. And that's my opinion on that.
Okay, so if all you're bringing to the table is looks, and good looks are pretty common, and so he can go and find another girl with good looks, do you expect him to stay with you?
Well, if he's investing in me, he's not going to want to lose his investment on me, so he will stay with me, I think. And if he doesn't, then on to the next. Like I didn't lose anything in this relationship. I only gained. Rather than me losing, like, okay, we got in a relationship, you didn't invest anything. Now I'm emotionally involved with you. Maybe you cheat on me with my best friend. Maybe who knows what happens. Now I'm emotionally distraught. Now my dating life is messed up because I'm still thinking about you. I'm trying to get over you. I can't. All that, no. Instead, if a man invests in you, I just feel like now it's gonna be a lot harder for him to leave you. If you have that standard from the jump. Like to begin with, if you understand what I'm saying. Like,
I do.
So
do you think having that standard from the jump might keep you single longer?
I think it weeds out all the men who, don't want to do that. And a lot of men have their like little, oh, she's a gold digger, oh, you're this or that, But I don't really care because like, what are you? You're probably not any better than me, like, so.
And do you think you'll respect a man, like truly respect him, if he is accepting you for just your looks and you're expecting all of this from him, and so he's catering to your needs and has no standards for himself besides looks?
I mean, I don't think that means he doesn't have a standard. I think it means he has more respect for women. If he feels like, I don't want my woman to be struggling, I don't want her to be in this, like, fight or flight mode, like rather than I'm taking care of her, and I'm providing this safe space for her to be herself and, you know, maybe work on the things that, like, now I mean, I'm personally not ever, I'll never stop working. That's just me, my type of who I am. But I don't think if a woman wants to be with a man, I don't think like she should, it shouldn't be like, oh, you gotta work too. A guy should not be approaching a woman like, what do you bring to the table? Like, if you like me, okay, you like how I look, because I think men, like I said, date for looks. So you like me, you like how I look, maybe we go on a few dates, whatever, and you're interested in me, okay, well, before I do anything with you, this is my standard. If you don't want to meet that, then that's what it is. We can be friends, or we just don't even gotta be like, if you can't be my friend, then we don't gotta be anything, and that's what it is. Like, and I think like I definitely have respect for a man, because also if a man is providing for me, why would I leave somebody who's doing all this for me? That's not easy to come by either. So you know what I'm saying? Like, it kind of goes both ways. I feel like.
Feels like you wanted to talk.
I almost said something. I would say, wait, you tell them right up front that you want them to pay for everything?
Yeah, I mean, I make it pretty clear. Like, I feel like.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I feel like I make it pretty clear from I mean, if you know me and you're around me, you're gonna know like that's the type of time I'm on. And then if you don't know me or just getting to know me, you're gonna learn pretty quickly that's the type of time I'm on.
So how do you say it to them?
I mean, I just say like, honestly, they mainly kind of understand the vibe, because generally what happens is, if it's not spoken, like they've taken me on a few dates and I didn't do anything with them and I leave, and then it's like, okay, so obviously she wants something. So then maybe they'll be like, oh, I want to spoil you, or I want this, and I'll be like, okay, like, yeah, or I want to take you on a vacation or something. I'm like, okay, well, I have bills to pay. I have stuff. I can't just leave, you know, I got to work. So if you want me to be all accessible to you, I need some money. Like, I need a bill paid. Like, here's my rent. I don't know. Like, I don't know. So yeah, I mean, I kind of do. Like, honestly, by like the third date, it's known.
Do you tell them you're a rapper on the date?
Yeah, I tell them everything about me.
Do you rap for them?
Yeah, if they want to put a beat on.
Abigail, we need to do a couple chats. I'm going to have you read them. Heads up, guys. We're not doing $69 anymore. We boosted it back up. I should have announced it, but you know, we only do it for the first 30 minutes of the show. I'll have Abigail read them. So we'll let them come in. So Abigail, I'm going to have you read a couple.
Second girl,
Into the mic. You got to do it into the mic, though.
Second girl, you are a guest. This is Brian's show. It is very sus to have a funeral the day after your death. That is very strange. So Brian is right to question. Lose the attitude.
I believe it.
No respect. Pathetic.
All right. We have another one coming in. Go ahead, read that.
Brian, stop milking green shirt's attitude and behavior for views and kick her. She brought the show to a grinding halt, and it's annoying.
All right. We have Bronaissance. But thank you, Illinois boy. Appreciate it. Go ahead.
Andrew is not here, but I have really bad vision.
Broissance?
Okay, but the broissance is I have really bad vision.
Question to all the women: is your father or stepfather in your life? The blue sweater chick looks like someone to her to the sad basement for a diddle. What?
This is coming to you, girl.
To the sad
I have no idea what that means. But is your father or stepfather in your life? Going around the table, starting with Abigail. Actually, go ahead.
My father? Oh yeah, he's in my life. He's wonderful. Happy Father's Day, Bat. Happy Father's Day.
Father's Day.
I love you. Yes, he's very much in my life.
Yes, my dad is very much in my life. Bolt up.
Yes, I love my dad. Shout out, Dad.
Yes, my dad's in my life.
Yes, love you, Dad. Happy Father's Day.
Yes, my dad re-entered my life as an adult, and yes.
Yes, love you, Gary.
Yes, my dad is.
All right, and then we have one more. If you can't read it, I'll read it.
Go for it. You can read it.
Hey, Brian, longtime fan of the podcast and your social projects, and I want to hop on the podcast someday if I can, but keep cooking these OF girls and snap them back to reality. You're doing the Lord's work. All right, Adrian. Thank you, man. By the way, guys, Reed is $99 from here on out. TTS is $199 from here on out. So $100 for Reed, $200 for TTS. But those just kind of slid through there. So just wanted to at least get them read. Sorry they didn't come through as a TTS, just Forgot to mention that. So
Can you pull your mic to the edge?
Oh.
Thanks. And then Twitch.
yeah, we'll do Twitch, guys. Drop us a follow on Twitch. Follow us on Twitch. If you've got a Prime sub, drop us a Prime sub. 1,600 people watching. No ads over there on Twitch. Drop us. Yeah, Walsh. Thank you for the Prime, man. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Thank you for all the follows and Primes. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
And okay, I want to. What did we have to? We'll come back to some of your stuff. We need to get relationship status though. So go ahead.
Single.
How long you been single?
Well, for 5 months now. Longest relationship was 1.5 years. And if you want to see why we ended, go to the other podcast that I was in.
Oh.
Can you just give us a recap for the new viewers?
Mommy issues with him, and we were just both immature.
Both
Be like
immature. Okay. And you were on like 2 months ago, a month ago or something?
Yeah, like a month ago.
Any dating?
month ago.
Any dating prospects
No.
from that? Okay. What about you?
I am single. I've been single for 4 years, and my longest relationship was 6 years.
Okay. And you're religious, correct?
Yeah. I have a relationship with Jesus.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna say that.
So are you're like non-denominational Christian,
Yeah, non-denominational.
Protestant, or just non-denominational?
You could say Protestant.
Okay. And so are you, do you consider yourself a born again?
Yes, I do.
Now, do you consider yourself a born again virgin?
I mean, I don't really think about the term, but no, I don't think of it like that. I just went celibate now because I repented from premarital sex and got to pick it up and keep it moving.
Sure. What about you?
Relationship status? Is that we're still on that?
Yeah, that's
Yeah, okay. I'm married. I've been married for a little over a year, and my longest relationship is my marriage.
still married.
Yep.
Okay.
Love that ring.
Thank you. That's amazing.
How long were you guys dating?
We didn't date. I've known him for a little over 3 years now. We were best friends, and we just started falling for each other, and we wanted to buy a house together, and I'm big on not living together before marriage, so we got married.
And you were on about a year ago, if I recall. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think it was like 9 months ago or something like that.
Okay. And marriage going well?
Yeah, very well.
Good. What do you say to people who kind of raise an eyebrow? You know, getting married at 20 is, I would say, a bit uncommon nowadays.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever get criticisms or what do you say to those people?
People definitely do criticize. I guess my biggest defense is my parents have been happily married for a very long time, and they raised me to get married, and they approve of this man, and they approve of the marriage, and I'm way happier married than I was single. I don't intend to get married to end up divorced, so it's till death do us part. And I don't have to answer to the people who raise an eyebrow to me. Of course, people are going to have their opinions, but it doesn't affect the longevity of our marriage.
Okay, I see. All right, cool. We've got everybody's relationship status. We're working on getting Andrew. He should be joining us here in just a few minutes. So we have Pelagic. It's on purpose. She's purposely trying to throw you off with her mental manipulation. She's good. No doubt about that.
For me.
Yeah, no, you're right, Pelagic. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate it, dude. And like the video, boys. Like the video. It helps out with the algorithm. So thank you, guys. What was the, Nick, is there anything we had to react to?
Yeah, we got TikTok, the format, and then we got the face stuff. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, there's that, and then
There's one more TikTok.
yeah. Hold on. Okay, I'm trying to think when I want to do this. One sec, guys. I'm just checking on Andrew here. I think, Nick, do you want to boot up Discord and just see if he's, just give him a call, see if he's good to go? All right. So I do want to come back to what you were saying here for just a moment. I was hoping to get a little more detail
Yeah.
on what you're looking for in a guy. You said you don't really care about looks.
Yeah, it's not that I don't, but it's not like my top thing. Like, you know, like he's got to be clean, but he doesn't got to be like the most handsomest
I do have a
person.
question. So you said for a guy, looks are important, and for you, clearly being able to support you financially is important. So I'll re-ask my question before. Instead of just looks, if he only had money, and that was it, that's all he had going for him, would you stay with him?
I mean, is he helping me?
It's all he brings to the table is money.
He's helping
giving you
me.
his money, but he could be super ugly, bad personality, dirty,
No.
ruins your house.
Definitely not.
Okay.
But
I'll just leave it there.
yeah, definitely not. I mean, if you're, I feel like, cool, you pay all my bills, but I mean, if you're just stressing me out.
So you expect more than just financial stability?
Well, yes. I mean, I'm kind of confused with like exactly what else.
I'm only asking this because you said
Yeah.
you bring to the table your looks. You didn't list any other things.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
what I'm going off.
I don't think a guy who likes me as much to help me out like that. I don't think he's probably only interested in my looks, but
Right.
he might be. You know
So
what I'm
if
saying?
he's interested
But-
in more than your looks,
But
what
if
do you
he's
think
not
it
a
is
good
that he's interested
person,
in?
if he's not a good person, then he's not for me. Like, I don't want to deal with anybody who's a bad person. Like, you know, at
So would
least
you say
so
you're
what
a
I
good
would
person?
define a good person, or what I would define a bad person is, which my definition is going to be different from everybody else's. So, you know.
So would you say you're a
I
good
think
person
I'm a
then?
pretty good person.
I think so too.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Nick, how's it? You getting it worked with Andrew? Have you tried calling him?
I don't see him up, so I do not disturb.
You can still try to do the voice call. I think he should. Maybe he's just getting a couple things all set up. Well, to kind of echo the question that Abigail was asking before, perhaps you can restate it because there's a bit of hecticness going on. She asked, "What do you bring to the table?"
Yeah. You know, my pretty self.
Do you cook or clean?
I clean. I cook sometimes, but I'm not gonna cook or clean unless you're providing for me. So,
I mean, fair enough.
Do you expect a guy to do all those things that you want him to do immediately?
not necessarily.
Okay.
No, I mean, I think if the relationship builds out over time, sure, but then we're not having sex, if that makes sense.
You're not having.
Like, we could be dating, but we're not
Oh.
having sex. You know what I'm saying? Like, as
You're-
in, if I like you and you like me, and you know, you're not there yet. Like you're not trying to do something for me or help me out in my life, like whatever. Then yeah, I mean, we could date for a while and stuff, but
But you
I'm
wouldn't
not
have
gonna have
sex
sex
until
with
they
you.
start paying you for things.
Yeah, I want to
So-
say paying me for
well,
things. I mean,
but
you're gonna make it sound
you
like
mean
I'm an
pro-
escort.
Well, but I mean, I'm trying to be charitable here.
yeah.
But you said that you're waiting to have sex until they fall into the provider role, correct?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
So you'll date a guy,
I think so, but yes.
but you will withhold sex until he does what?
Until you know, my life is taken care of.
Okay, until
Okay,
Bruce-
so
Like, why would I
how
be
is that
intimate with
not-
you? Why would I be intimate with you if you don't care about, like, just because we're intimate doesn't mean you care about me. Like, show me that you actually care about me. Like, do stuff. Like, even just bringing flowers and stuff, anybody could do that and then stop doing that. So I feel like that doesn't, for a man,
Couldn't the guy provide for you and then stop providing?
yeah, and then we're not gonna
So
continue our
my
relationship.
my question here is, how is this not definitionally prostitution?
It's definitely not prostitution because I'm not, for one, I mean, I'm definitely not slandering anybody, but I'm not on the street corner. I'm not.
Well, but-
It's not. Oh, this is what it is. Like, even if you give me money, that doesn't mean I'm gonna be intimate with you.
Well, it might not be.
But if I
overtly-
like you, then yeah.
Right, but so okay. I acknowledge that it's not a super overt transaction insofar as I will have sex with you, pay me $300 right now, and then I'll fuck you. But if your standard is, I will not sleep with you until you pay XYZ bill.
I think that's just a standard. I think that's a standard
But
women should most women should, because I feel like women are selling themselves selling themselves short of what they could actually be receiving in a relationship. And most men, especially wealthy men, have stay-at-home wives and they provide for them. So are they prostitutes? Are they escorts? Are they all that?
I mean, I think you're selling yourself short because
I don't think so.
Guys that have money and spending it on girls, it doesn't really even mean that he likes you or cares about you. Especially if he has money, he'll do that for multiple women. When a guy really likes you, he'll probably marry you. Guys are into marriage and stuff, but just spending money on you doesn't mean that he truly likes you or cares about you.
And just because, you know, just like a lot of women date for a very long time, and you know, they might be bringing a lot to the table. They might have held this man down when he was down and out. They might have took care of his kids. They might have raised his kids. They might have bailed him out of situations, whatnot. That doesn't mean he's gonna marry you either. So what's the standard? Like, marriage is really a choice between both people. Like, so that's not like money being involved or not has nothing to do with marriage, I think, like, personally. But I think a man has more interest in you and will be more interested in a deeper relationship if he's already investing in you. It's going to make it very much harder for him to leave you.
I don't think guys care.
I have a question.
I think they do.
I have a question. I think that sometimes, in just my personal experience with life and everything, what I've brought to the table has made men not want to date me and intimidated them to the point where, like, it makes me like try to like hide who I am.
Men don't like very independent women,
and it hurts me.
No,
it does.
They have the desire to provide.
I know.
What's an independent woman there for?
And that's why I'm like, I'm here to love you and I'm here to be there. And I'm a very submissive person, but I just find myself in that situation a lot with dating, and it seems like they get jealous of me, like very angry. I've noticed this in my personal life to the point where, like, it's like I've given and I've given and I've given, and I just don't know why you just can't accept, like, want to see me smile kind of thing. Like, you don't want to see me live it. So that's what I wonder about things. So that's where the whole, bringing to the table. I try to hide what I bring to the table because I feel like if I bring too much, like,
can I ask you a question? So, okay. So your new standard has this always been your standard with every single guy you have had sex with? Okay. So obviously, your standard is you'll date a guy for months, but until he starts providing for you, so paying for your rent, paying for your car, paying for your makeup, your I forgot the other stuff, your insurance, your utility bills.
Sure.
You won't sleep with him until he starts doing that.
Until he starts investing in
Can I ask you a question? So you're a single mom. The father of your child, did he have to do all that stuff for you to sleep with him?
No, but he's the reason why I'm like this. So.
What do you mean he's the reason?
Thank you. You helped me out.
But don't you think? I mean. What about? I'm sure. Wait, hold on. So you dated other guys too before him, right?
Yeah, I was in one relationship after.
And so, have you ever had this like?
Yeah, I mean, my last relationship.
No. But I mean, like, prior to that, like, have you dated multiple guys? Not at the same time, but have you dated multiple guys, and this was never the standard? You just.
No.
You liked them, so you slept with them?
Not really. I mean, because.
So are you saying that every single guy you've slept with, they had to?
What? Provide?
Like, provide?
No, I just said that. My baby father didn't really, but we were both really young. So, I mean, I can't really expect, when I look back at that relationship, I can't really expect that because I didn't have that standard going into the relationship as well. Also, I was young. I was 17. So what 17-year-old is thinking, like, oh, I got bills and stuff. Like, you're not thinking that. So, like, that relationship and me having a kid and all that, those were consequences of my actions. Wait,
but so
honestly, and I love my son. No, I love my son, and he's a blessing and everything. But I have my son at like 19. Like, that's young. Like, So I just feel like for women, I just wish women would have more of a standard, and they wouldn't end up in such crazy predicaments.
But I mean, in terms of kind of looking at, what the guys who would potentially be wanting to date you. In terms of, like, the value proposition, don't you think you would have?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
What?
She's just got shit, so just let her know to you. Okay.
don't you think the value proposition to the men, like, don't you think you would have had more leverage prior to dating all these dudes, being a single mom? You would have had more leverage to secure a guy who would actually be okay with the sort of arrangement you're proposing as compared to now?
I'm confused with your question.
Well,
exactly
I mean,
what you mean.
I mean,
what? Just say it again. Just say the question. again.
okay, it's like you got a kid. A lot of single men, like if they don't have a kid, they probably don't want to deal with that. Not all men.
maybe,
some
maybe
men
not.
are okay with it.
Yeah. I think
But
it's
it's
hard
just
to
like,
just put anything in a
how
basket.
are the guys going to feel like, okay, you let the past 10 dudes hit it on the first date, but you got a 3 month, I don't know what your actual minimum, you got a 3 month waiting rule and the guy's got to pay for you and all this
waiting
stuff?
Rule. No, I mean, it's definitely not that. It's, first off, I didn't let the last 10 dudes hit for free, and nobody's hitting like that because I have a standard for myself. So, and I've always had a type standard. I was in a very long relationship. I was very loyal. You know, coming out of that relationship, getting another relationship, it was the same thing. I was very loyal, but I just had more standards in this relationship.
Let me rephrase the question.
So,
is the standard that you just disclosed, that you have now, the standard of hold on, the guy has to provide, is that a standard that you held like all the previous men to? I don't know how many that is.
With my baby father, no, because we were young. Like we were both in like high school. Like what high schooler is gonna pay for a high schooler's bills? Like that's not even a thing. But I didn't know at that time.
So every guy after high school?
Yeah, I mean, kinda. Not after high school. I was with my baby daddy till I was 22. So.
Anyways,
every guy after that.
I do want to introduce Andrew Wilson. Welcome. This is welcome. This has been an absolutely hectic show, Andrew. You've missed quite a bit, but welcome, man.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing?
Hey, good.
My name's Andrew. You know, I guess to the whatever podcast chat. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.
Yeah, happy Father's Day.
Mass respect for you. And yeah, thanks for having me. I did have another engagement this Father's Day, but that's taken care of. So here I am on the show, and looking forward to interlocking with you guys.
All right, welcome, Andrew. Good to have you, man. Good to have you. So
even the one who's been totally disrespectful the entire, even you, right? Even you, I'm happy to have a convo with
I'm
even
happy to
you.
talk with you too.
You see how charitable I am this Father's Day?
Too.
did you get some intel, Andrew? Did the Crucible crew, did they give you a little intel?
Well, I listened a little bit as I was driving over to get some beer because I could tell I was going to need to fortify myself for this show. I did give a bit of a listen, but I mean, there's been way worse women on the show. Let's be honest. So, thus far,
Indeed.
I think it's all good, right? We're all having a good time. Let's get back to that. Let's get the energy back up. We'll get back to having a good time here.
Sounds good. That sounds good. So, I'm going to get into some of my pre-show notes here. I'm trying to see where we are. I don't know if you need any intros from any of the girls, but I'm trying to think where we left.
Anson Knowles donated $200.
Yo, thank you,
Happy
Anson.
Father's Day.
Anson.
Question for each lady. Is satisfaction or joy what your father feels about their little girl's relationship and or strumpet behavior? Pride in immutable characteristics is evil.
Strumpet's a crazy choice of
Is satisfaction or joy
Like, I've never
what
heard that.
your father
Like-
feels about their little girl's relationship and her strumpet? Wait, I'm a little confused.
Behavior.
That's my word. I was like,
So what Anson is asking here, he's saying, do you think that your father feels pride and joy at any of the person? Now, I don't know, as I don't have the background on any of you just yet, but he's saying if any of you kind of are involved in promiscuous behavior, do you think that your parents feel joy about that, specifically your fathers?
I got something to say about that. When my dad.
You look like you had something to say about it.
So
Anyway, go ahead.
when I first started dancing, I don't dance anymore, obviously, but I work as a, courtesan. But when my mother
Hey,
found.
wait, hang on. I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
just want to clarify very quickly. When you say courtesan, do you mean an escort?
A legal prostitute at the Moonlight Bunny Ranch. It's legal and
In
it's
Vegas?
in Nevada. Yeah, they have got one in Vegas, actually. Yeah, they do.
Well, yours would have to be in Nevada, right? I think
It
that's
is
the
in
only place
Nevada.
that-
Yeah, mine's in
Okay.
Carson City, but they used to have one in Vegas. And
FPS
they have plenty.
check.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Okay, so
keep
yeah,
going.
so Carson City, about 25 minutes away from Reno, roughly.
Yeah. So pretty much when my dad,
Is that okay, Nick?
my mom was mad that she found my W-2 when I was a dancer back in the day when I danced. She said, "You aren't working at the new dance bar, are you?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, I am." And my mom was kind of upset about it. But when my dad, he was like, he gave me the fist bump and he's like, "You go, girl." And I'm like, from like, a dude that was in the military and stuff, like, I was like, but I'm going to tell you this. So my middle name, Danielle.
Wait, hang on.
Yeah,
hang
yeah.
on,
No, I'm going to tell you.
Hang on. Let's back up for a second. And just so you guys know, if we're having a discussion back and forth, because I'm remoted in, when you're talking, if we're talking at the same time, I actually can't hear you, right? So I can only hear it one way. So if we can just talk one at a time, that'd be great. So, but backing up, I just want to make sure your dad found your W-2 that you were working as a prostitute, and he fist bumped you?
It wasn't a prostitute. I was a dancer at the time, but he said, "You go, girl."
What kind of dancer?
I was a nude dancer at Deja
but
Vu.
I mean the delineation. I think that it's kind of semantics, right? So
Yeah. Well, like, you know,
a lot of people, including myself, would consider stripping to be prostitution.
It was,
right?
yeah. It was true. But he's like,
Yeah,
you go,
yeah.
girl. And I was like, oh my God. It felt kind of just, it felt good to me because I felt like at the time when I was a dancer, I tried to hide it. You know, I got a bunch of fake Red Bull shirts. So I would make fake Red Bull shirts and because to be like I was a promoter or something. And I'd put on these shirts and say I was going downtown. This is when I was like 22 years old. And I would come back with the shirt on. And obviously, I wasn't using it the whole night. But finally, that's when my mom found out. But when my dad said that, I thought it was so funny. And
What'd your mom say?
my mom was mad because she was an ex-cop and she didn't like, she's fine with the Tantra. I don't know if she's fine with anything else, particularly as far as like the courtesan work goes.
Fine with that Tantra? What's the Tantra?
So I'm a Tantra practitioner and I've been to many retreats. These are like holistic retreats where we learn mind, body, soul, and sexual, connection. And
So it's like esoteric sexuality, essentially.
she's fine with that. She's not really fine with like stuff that's like even girlfriend experience porn stars. So she's kind of like borderline on that. But she's fine with the Tantra, but she's not fine with the others. So it's really interesting. I think it's because like I had to get trained in it, and she wants me to get trained in something. So she does. My mother does say to me like, I hope you're a smart girl. I hope you get trained in something. And I tell her, I enjoy holistic sexuality. I enjoy exploring with people. I feel like I'm a safe person, and I have been to many, retreats, and I've just been through a lot, so I know how people feel.
What happens at these retreats?
At the retreat, so we really kind of got to dive into ourselves. There's a lot of, if you Google, I'm trying to say, like, not a lot of them are, they're not filmed, but I went to the International School of Temple Arts, and a lot of.
Is this like Teal Swan stuff?
This is Teal Swan. I like Teal Swan, but Teal. I gotta.
But I mean, is that
It is
am I
Teal
in the
Swan.
same ballpark as like Teal Swan?
Yes.
Esoteric sexuality.
It is.
Kind of diving into yourself and channeling spirits in order to do sex magic, that kind of thing.
Kind of, but they'll rip you apart at these things. Like you'll be in tears by like day 3. They will just shred you to pieces, and it has to, because you have to break and like crack open in order to be able to understand the depths of someone's emotions. So you have to be like put through the paper shredder. And if you already, a lot of these people were kind of grinded by life, and then you get grinded by life even more when you go there, because they open up the wounds again. And
yeah, I mean, but it's basically cult brainwashing, right?
There is that. Okay, so I actually have some. Okay, so that is why I don't believe in communes and living on communes, is because my mentor, she's passed away now, but her name was Salma Zadora, and she's a tantric sex guru, and she grew
I'm familiar.
up. Yeah, she grew up on one of those like kind of, the Jim Jones, that whole thing, and I don't believe in the problem with some spiritual communities that I have is the, like you said with the brainwashing, it's, so in spiritual communities, you can't fight. You can't like say, oh, you're a jerk, you're a bitch. You can't say that. So what they do is they start to, oh, your vision might not be good today. Oh my gosh, you might not be hearing me correctly. The gaslighting is big, so you've got to be really in tune. And when you call somebody out on that, they will block you. Like I was actually blocked by a spiritual like person who I followed with over 1 million followers, and I was blocked by her because I called her out on it. Because they were questioned, they said, "Oh, I think you just need to listen to me again."
Well, I mean, so why do you participate in these things?
So there's some things I believe in, and then there's some things I don't, and that's why I don't completely live like on a commune. I don't live that life because even my spiritual teacher, Aaron Kleinerman, who was he was a war vet and he went into the Tantra and became a Tantra practitioner. He didn't agree with some of that stuff too. There's certain great things about Tantra, but the community and how they interpret it. There could be that weirdness that goes on, and I agree.
Is there a lot of sex that's going on at these things?
There is, as far as not like sex, but it's like there is talk about sex. There's talk about like, I guess how you open yourself up to, the world, how you open yourself up to others. It's everything has to be consensual. For me, I didn't have sex at any of these, but I've heard at other retreats, not at the ones that I went to, that there were sex that goes down, and I didn't go to those, but I have heard that.
Okay, so
I'm very selective with the teachers.
Yeah, I get it. I just want to make sure that I'm clear because I'm kind of coming into the conversation late. So,
but you are right. That does exist.
You're hiding behind
well, I mean, it's very
so sorry.
culty. Okay. Right, it's very culty. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Tons of people get damaged from these sorts of retreats and speak out about it for years afterwards.
Some can, yes.
There's entire swaths of Teal Swan's following who've broken off and talked about the horrors that go on inside of these kind of sexual-based retreats. Mm-hmm. So I guess my overarching question is, and I think about it for a second before you answer. Do you think that maybe the reason you're interested in those cult-like retreats, the sex retreats, is because they're actually less judgmental than the population at large about your profession?
I think that I've been devious, I think sex is something that isn't new to me. I've known this like my entirety of my life. And I think that the retreats, it's almost like a moth to a light, like I go and I just feel like in my soul that it is right for me. But I know when something is wrong. I know when boundaries get pushed, and that's when I'm not cool with. I respect everyone's boundaries that I've been with. I would never run one of those retreats because I feel like that would be one of the most difficult jobs in the world. I don't know how my teachers do it. The ones that I have are the ones that I recommend.
Well, they get paid a lot of money. That's how they do it.
They do. And the ones that I have are very good, and I would honestly, like on God, would not recommend anybody else than the ones that I saw because I don't trust anyone else but the ones I saw.
Okay, so I think I got a bit about your background now and kind of understand where it is that you're at and where it is that you're coming from.
Yeah.
So, Brian, if you want to continue with your questions on the backgrounds.
So we are going to get into some of the pre-show topics here. We have a decent amount to get through. Just trying to, a couple no-shows. I'm gonna skip that, but I do want to. I kind of actually want, now that you're here, Andrew, I'm kind of want to get into some of our more heated questions, heated conversation topics. So I don't think we'll debate it, but I do actually want to get answers. So we'll do the bear thing. We're not going to really debate it much, but I always like to at least get the answers. So starting with you, would you rather come across a random man or a random bear in the woods?
I'm gonna go man. I don't even know.
You haven't heard this?
No, I
TikTok
have.
thing?
I've thought about it. I think both can bring danger.
If you had to pick
well,
one.
if you had to pick one, if there was a button, there was a magic button, and you had to select one. One was bear, one was man. Which one do you think you would press?
I'd probably say bear.
Bear.
Why is that?
I just feel like you know, it's just like easier to kind of get them to go away.
What? It's easier to get a bear to go away.
I mean, I just feel like men are very unpredictable.
Aren't wild animals unpredictable?
I can predict that the bear is gonna kill me.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm saying, y'all, like, I don't know. But if you're going to ask me to choose one, I'm probably going to say bear.
We'll get everybody's answers. Go ahead.
So I picked the bear last time, and I picked the bear this time. I could either move.
That's it. No, that's it. Okay. What about you?
Bear.
Man.
Wait,
Man.
what did you pick last time?
I picked bear. Yeah.
Okay. What do you pick?
I picked the man.
Yeah, random man for sure.
We do need to wait until she's back, the one who's gone from the table, to get her answer. Those of you who said bear, so you said bear, you said
Bear, yeah.
bear. Why bear?
So I picked bear. So I've noticed, I've done some self-reflection since then and just recently. I've had a lot of negative experiences with men, but it seems like the more positive experiences that I have with men and the more like safety that I feel, I might be inclined to pick the man. And I'm starting to wonder, did I just get bad luck of the draw, like in a sense, like in the past? And that's why my judgment is skewed, because that's the way I choose bear because of that. Is that a safe thing for me to do? Or if some people have really bad things happen to them, should they just kind of look at things as a whole and be like, look, you might have had like 10 bad things happen to you, but things could change. Okay. So I don't know. Yeah.
Why do you pick bear?
Sorry. I think I would pick, well, I know I would pick the bear just because I'd say both have primal instincts, but overall a bear would be more predictable considering the fact that it is a primal animal and less intelligent than a man. I
So
just feel like
when you say the bear would be more predictable, you mean you could
like the
more
bear,
predictably imagine it attacking you compared to a man?
well, the bear, say both are like per se hostile, then if the bear is hostile,
That's not the question. You don't know if the random man's hostile. You don't know if the bear's hostile. They could be. They might not be.
well, if the man's hostile, then
No.
You're
But
taking the chance.
that's less predictable. I'm saying if you know that, like, say, like if you're stuck in the forest with a man and a bear, if the bear gets provoked, what's it gonna do? Attack you. If the man gets provoked, you don't know what the fuck the man's gonna do. So I'm saying the bear, like, you know what it's going to do if it gets provoked.
Let me ask you a question though. You mentioned provoked. If I put both of the men, like just a random man and a random bear in this situation, I think actually, if you provoke a bear versus you provoke like some nerdy gamer guy who would never hurt a fly, like you could even go, like you could probably walk up to a lot of dudes and literally poke them and they would not do anything to you. Do you think you would have that same experience with men? Or sorry, excuse me, with bears?
Well, the bear would definitely try to eat you, and you don't know if the random man in the forest is going to be a nerdy gamer.
I would argue you could actually do, hold on. I would argue you could actually do this social experiment and you could actually go out into the street and just approach a random man and you could even like poke him kind of annoyingly, poke him in the shoulder.
You don't know what they're going to do.
He can't eat you alive.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing though is, I mean,
But I mean, he's agreeing, right? He's saying, you're right.
Yeah.
You don't know what they'll do, but let us assume for a second that you had 20 men and 20 random bears. If you went and poked the 20 men in the chest like this versus poking 20 bears in the chest like this, which one do you think would be more likely to, I don't know, eat your face?
Well, I don't know. I mean,
you don't know?
Bear, no, listen, like the bear would be more likely to eat your face, but you don't know if the man, like, that's the thing, you don't know like what he has on him. He could have a
No, I agree.
gun
You
or
don't know. The man
like
could
that.
freak out, right? He could freak out. He could do horrible things. But
bear would
which
eat your face,
Which
and we
one?
know
But
that
which,
for a
but which
fact.
one do you think is more? Which one do you think is more likely to freak out if you walk over and start poking him in the chest? A random man or a random bear?
Well, the bear would definitely eat your face, but you know for a fact that the bear would eat your face. That's predictable. That's what I'm saying. The whole point of my entire, I guess, opinion on this factor is that the bear would, in fact, eat your face.
So you'd rather die because it's
so
guaranteed
you'd rather
you're going to die?
predictably die than
Yeah, like
have a man look at you,
you
like,
guys like
the
aren't
fuck are you doing?
understanding what she's saying.
Well, she's just trying to word it where she wants to hate men so bad, but it just doesn't make sense. When we try to make it make sense.
We do need to get her response from this. So the question is, would you rather come across a random man or a random bear in the woods?
Oh. I mean, why are you in the woods as a man? Like,
Okay, hold on.
What are we doing?
Hold on. Because you guys are incapable of engaging with a hypothetical.
No. I'm
So,
going to answer the question,
here's
but
the
it's
scenario.
just... Okay.
There is no motivation there. You're literally, you press, there's a magic wand,
Yeah.
and a random man in the United States, a totally random man gets dropped into the woods, so do you. And you guys are going to cross paths.
But I'd rather cross,
it's not
cross
like,
paths
why
with a
is he
man
in
than
the
a
woods?
bear, to be honest. Because maybe you can help me get the hell out these woods. Like, a bear's not going to be able to help me, but...
Okay, so
that's
in this scenario, you pick...
I'm picking a man, I think.
I have a
But
series.
I just feel like, if I'm walking through the woods and then I just randomly see a man, I mean, let's run like a walking trail, but if I'm like lost in the woods and there's just a random man in the woods, I'll be kind of creeped out.
It's not really the
I mean,
question.
if you were lost in the woods and you came across a random man in the woods.
Well, I mean, I'd be like, I'm lost, but I'd be like, what are you doing?
I have a
guess you're right,
question.
you're right.
But I mean, wouldn't you be like, I'm lost, can you help me?
Yeah, no, you're right. I'd be freaked. I'd be like, not like, what are you doing here? I'd be like, help me.
Help, right? You'd be like, help, I'm lost in these fucking woods. This sucks. Right?
I have a
Oh,
question.
God.
You switched to man, right?
Yeah, I switched to man.
Okay. Andrew, you were going to have a back and forth, I think, with her.
Yeah, well, I wanted to ask.
with me?
So I just want to make sure, because I think I understand why a lot of women pick the bear, and I think that what you're trying to say is it's due to the predictable nature of bears. They're easier to predict. Men can do much more unpredictable things, and they have kind of the strength and will in order to have more perverse actions than the bear.
Yes.
Okay, so you kind of want us to see it from your angle. So let me ask a counter question so you can see it from our angle. And I'd like an honest answer from everybody. Do you think a man would rather tell his feelings to a woman or a tree?
A tree, probably.
Hang on, going around the table.
Starting with
would a
you,
man
Ryan.
rather tell his feelings to a woman or a tree?
Definitely a woman. A tree.
A tree.
I feel like it depends on the situation, but I guess a tree.
I feel like he wants to talk to a woman, but he feel like he can't, so he'd rather just go talk to a tree.
I agree.
A tree.
Probably a tree.
Well, then, if the social commentary is that we need to be looking at it from your end, that you perceive men as being kind of unpredictable and dangerous in comparison to this massive wild animal, which is known for, mauling random people, then shouldn't you also take into account and take responsibility on the woman's end for the fact that men can't even talk to you or discuss with you how we feel about anything and would rather tell it to an inanimate object than you?
Yes, and I have a quick question about that this for the table or whatever. My question is this. How come the idea of 20 men finding them in the forest compared to a bear sounds safer than me with one man? How come that is? I don't know.
But I mean, I could engage with you on it, but why would I tell you how I felt about it? I'd rather talk to a fucking tree, right? And this is the whole point. The whole point is that I would rather open up about my feelings to a tree than open up about my feelings to you by your own admission. And yet the social commentary is only one-dimensional, where you say, but how come men won't take responsibility for how we feel about them? Well, how come you won't see it from our angle that as we're having this discussion, I would probably prefer to take a random inanimate object, in this case a tree, and open up about my feelings to the tree than you, and it's true.
Well, I mean, like,
isn't that crazy, though? Like, where's the responsibility from the other direction?
It's crazy, but y'all set that up for
I also
yourselves.
disagree.
I admit it is a bit outlandish in a sense, because it's like, I'm thinking if I were to encounter 20 men or a bear, I would feel safer with the 20 men than the one man. I don't know. Maybe is it because you have bad experience with one man? I never had a bad experience with 20 men. Is that it? Is that just the bias, like the confirmation?
Well, no. Listen. So what we're looking at is kind of a plural meaning here from the woman's perspective. So I'm taking myself out of my shoes, trying to put myself into the shoes of you. You say, listen, I'd much rather come across a random bear than a man, because I can ascribe all of these motivations onto a random man of things that they could do to me which are sick and twisted and dark and horrible, and I can maybe at least predict a bear. And it's like, men, from the woman's perspective, like, I don't understand why men don't get this.
Donated $200. Only a female could be stupid enough to pick a wild animal that will kill them over a grown man who can save her life. There is a reason no good man wants these women.
Damn. All right,
pretty
Grid One
stereotypical.
Motorsports. There he is,
Yeah.
coming in.
Grid 1, the legend
man.
himself.
Actually, I do have a point to make.
You a good
about
man?
the,
Imagine being
like
two
the
half a
men
woman.
opening up.
So anyway,
wait.
so back to
Just
this, just
before we
real quick,
switch
this
topics.
exchange. What we're looking at is the duality
I'll get you
here.
in.
Thank you.
If I'm taking myself out of my shoes and I'm putting myself in your shoes, I'm trying to see it from your angle. Because to me, it's insane, right? A woman saying, I'd rather have a random, but I'm going, okay, this is the problem with the social commentary from the female perspective. We're not listening to the women and how they feel about us. But then when I bring up the tree, you kind of instantly are like, yeah, of course, a tree, but then don't give a shit, right? You're just like, well, and fuck them. I don't care if they would prefer to talk to
Can
a
I
tree.
ask a question?
We have done nothing. We're perfect. If they have to go talk to a tree, that's also men's fault.
Can I ask
Right?
you a question?
Go ahead.
Why do you think men can't express their feelings to women or to anybody, honestly?
Because y'all don't give a fuck.
Yeah, because you don't care and you don't. So the thing
I'd like
is
a
that
an
if you
actually
don't,
like
if you
good
don't,
response.
yeah. So I'm gonna answer your question, right? If you don't give a shit, and you don't, right? And this is why you know that.
No,
men
not
prefer-
and we
You can't speak for every
don't. Not and we
individual.
don't. Who said we don't give
I'm
a
gonna.
shit?
You did because you said that you know that men would rather open up to a tree than
I'm
you.
so sorry, but me
that doesn't
saying
mean
that
that
I know
she- yeah.
men would rather open up to a tree does not mean that I don't give a shit about what a man says. Like,
Or that
Well,
she doesn't
then why
want
are
you
they-
to
why
express
would
your
they
feelings to
prefer
her.
to
We
open
just
up
know
to a
you
tree than
prefer
you?
that. Because men don't
Probably
want to be
because of the
nagged.
system
don't
men
wanna-
have set
wanna
up
take
for
advice from
themselves.
women.
So
Probably
why would
because-
they?
right,
One
it's
at a
men's
time,
fault
let her
that they would
talk.
rather talk to a tree.
Probably because of the system men have set up
Right,
for
so
themselves.
it's men's fault that they would rather talk to a tree. Women have no accountability at all, right?
It actually is.
Yeah,
It
right,
actually is.
exactly. That's the whole point of the duality. The reason we don't give a shit about the absurd fucking answer of women who go, I'd rather fight a bear in the woods. Even though none of you ever experienced a fucking random bear in the woods, you have no idea what
have
that's like. Could be the
experienced a
most
random bear in the
terrifying
woods.
experience
I'm
of
from
your life.
Wisconsin.
You have. What happened with you and the bear in the woods? Tell me.
It
Go ahead,
happened
tell
when
me.
you
Give
ran
me a
away.
story about you and the bear in the woods.
I
No,
stood
the other
still
gal
and
who
it was
I'm in the
predictable and
exchange
it
with.
went away.
Yeah, what happened?
I stood still.
What?
I could predict what the bear would do when
Wait,
I would
Oh,
stand
sure.
actually
still
happened?
and hide. Yeah.
This actually happened?
Yes.
Where?
I'm from California. I've been to Tahoe multiple of times.
So up in Tahoe, what type of bear came around you?
A black
and you
bear.
just stood still and it walked off.
Yep.
Where?
Because bears, guess what? They're predictable. Men aren't.
No,
I don't know
bears,
what-
especially in Tahoe, are not predictable.
Well-
Especially because they eat human garbage and things like this. People out there feed them. It's a massive problem. They're usually in those areas ultra violent because they have no fear of humans. It's totally unpredictable. But the point is that we don't. The reason that we it's a problem. They're usually in those areas ultra violent because they have no fear of humans. It's totally unpredictable. But the point is that we don't. The reason that we don't give a shit about the social commentary on this. We don't care to see it from a woman's perspective of, but don't you men understand why it is that you're so dangerous? Is because when I bring up a counterexample of the tree, you go, well, that's also men's fault.
It is. It literally is
Right,
your fault.
it is.
You guys have set
It
up this
literally is.
system for yourselves.
Wait, what system?
What do you mean, what system?
You-
Like
What's the
men
system?
telling
What
their
system?
sons, you know, you can't cry, you can't express this, you can't express that. Be
Facts.
tough.
I would
That's y'all
say-
set that shit up.
Wait, so hold on. Abigail, you respond, then you have something. Go ahead.
Okay, I would say the reason sons are raised to suck it up is you asked him.
Exactly,
This is
to
just
suck
hold
it
on.
up.
This is just an example. You asked.
Hold on.
Lol
just one
Paladins
second.
donated $200.
Another one of-
Maybe the bear was at the funeral.
Could be.
Y'all making some
Okay, go
money.
ahead.
You asked
Thank
him
Paladins.
why he thinks that men would pick the tree. And he answered with the same answer. And you said, okay, give me an actual good answer. So they elaborated on how they feel on the subject, and you started yelling and
I
talking
never
over them.
asked why they think
I
men
wouldn't
would
want to
pick the
share my
tree.
feelings
Here,
with that.
just can you be straight? Just be straight on. No, like Be
Oh,
straight
oh,
on.
like, oh.
Turn the microphone. You're hiding behind the mic.
Is
Scoot
that,
it.
like,
Scoot it to
do
the
you
edge.
not want me to
Scoot
be
it. Just
behind the mic?
just scoot it to the edge of the table. Scoot the mic to the edge of the table.
It is like so
Yeah,
close
the
to
reason
edge.
he's asking that from the audience perspective, if your mouth isn't actually close to the mic when you're speaking,
No,
but
I
nobody
hear.
can hear what
I hear
you're
that.
saying.
I hear what you're
Yeah.
saying. I didn't know my mic was far away. I apologize.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it happens all the time because you're in the conversation, and it's easy for people to shift. That's how body language works, all that
Yeah,
stuff.
no,
So
my bad.
yeah, no big deal.
But so if he expressed to Brian here why he would rather talk to a tree than a woman, Brian would understand. I doubt he'd talk over him or say that's not a good enough answer. He expressed those feelings to you, you talked over him, you said it wasn't a good enough answer. But you're also saying you responded that way and nobody would want to share their feelings with that. That's just objectively true. You responded that way and you're also blaming men for not wanting to share their feelings with women.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but all they said is they would rather talk to a tree.
And that was just
And
their
they
answer.
said because
You're
women
actually
don't give a-
interrupting me, and you were just talking to me about interrupting you. So.
I'm so glad I'm not dating donated $200. Big stresses that I can only solve must be internalized and dealt with. Saving the stress and worry from a spouse whom looks up to me for guidance and leadership.
Amen.
I'm talking to a fucking tree 100%.
Yo, I'm so glad.
Right.
I'm not, hey, thank you for the TTS, man. Also, Kill of Serial. Sorry if I was a little tilted earlier. I don't know if you're still watching. It was just kind of a hectic moment, but I'm so glad I'm not dating. Very good to see you.
He was waiting for me to come on and wish me Happy Father's Day. That's all.
I'm not
That's
even
all,
sure.
Killer Cereal.
I'm not even sure if he's still in the chat, but I'm so glad I'm not dating. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Go ahead with your.
I was just saying they told me that they would rather speak to a tree, and they said, "Oh, why is that?" And I just said, "Well, y'all set that system up." That's all I said.
No, actually, the opposite happened. What happened is we asked you, what do you think men would rather do? Open up to a woman or open up to a tree? And you
I said tree.
To a tree. Right, so this was not us juxtaposing a position onto you. This was you, rather,
And then you
telling
guys
us
agreed
your
that you would
position.
rather talk to a tree. And
Right,
I
why?
said, yeah, and I said,
So
it's
why?
But-
Why would you
okay,
rather
hold
talk
on,
to a
hold
tree?
on. Can you just straighten up? Here, look, straighten up, scoot the mic this way, scoot it to the very edge of the table, because what you end up doing is you're like hiding behind the microphone. So just speak straight into the
So I
microphone.
have really bad posture.
It's okay. Go ahead.
So yeah, I was just saying, like, why would men rather talk to a tree? Probably because from the age of like 2, they were told that they can't express their emotions. They can't feel this. They can't feel that. They can't cry. They need to toughen up.
Yeah.
that was her
What I'm
answer.
going based off of is when you said, you asked them, why do you guys think women would rather, or men would rather talk to a tree? And they said, because women don't care. And you said, give me an actual good answer. That was both of their answers, and you didn't like their answer. That was them
Well,
expressing
actually,
how they
I mean,
feel, and you didn't like
so-
it.
But
I
why do
wouldn't
you
tell
guys?
her
I'm
that.
Why do
happy
men
to
feel
engage
like
with
women
her,
don't
with her
care?
answer.
Yeah.
I'm happy to engage with her answer because I think it's actually interesting and rather telling, right? It's the man's fault that he would rather do that. But this is the duality that I'm trying to point out. The duality is this: the reason that you think that men are so unpredictable, you don't know what they're going to do, this and that, is precisely because some men cannot control their emotions. Because they don't have good impulse control, because they do act out, and when they do act out, they do a lot of damage because of their lack of emotional control. And yet, here you are saying, if only men had less of this emotional control, could open up to us, wouldn't that be actually counterproductive to your position of the bear, though?
I think opening up to a part of empathy, like to on a level of empathy.
Nick.
I'm willing to challenge my own delusion. I will say this. I'm willing to challenge my.
Hold on. I'm
okay.
sorry.
sorry.
Wasn't this directed at you?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So you're
Sorry
kind of.
about
What did you say?
He was
You
directing
didn't,
all
you didn't
these
hear what I said?
towards you.
No.
Oh.
Hey, man.
You didn't hear what he was saying?
No.
None of it?
No.
Fix what?
Okay, well then I'll just have the conversation with the person who's listening to what I'm actually saying.
you
So
should.
anyway,
That's
back to where we're at.
Wait, you know what? Wait, hold on. I want to tune into something that actually just occurred. Andrew, the thing that you brought up was, do you think a man would rather share his feelings to a woman or a tree?
Yeah.
She wasn't listening to anything.
Right, she wasn't listening
Even
to a
though
word
you've
of it,
been
right, 'cause she
perfectly.
doesn't care,
That's
right?
one
Even-
woman in,
even
in
though-
a group full of women that you
Even
feel
though
like that
you've been
about.
perfectly respectful, Andrew,
how are you
you've been
gonna relate that to
perfectly
everyone?
polite. She intentionally just refused to even hear what you had to say and hear how you felt and hear how you thought about the conversation at hand. She's
just gonna
literally just
say-
proved
But
your
you gotta
point.
understand,
I'm
Brian,
just gonna
that's
say it
also
wasn't
my fault.
intentional.
It's also your fault, Andrew.
I'm just gonna say.
It's
Can I
my
say?
fault.
You're
Go
speaking
ahead.
on me, so can I say something?
Go ahead.
It wasn't intentional. I genuinely just spaced out.
He was You guys, you literally
Right,
asked him a question.
which is why I would rather share my feelings with a tree. What would be the difference if I had shared if I shared my
I've
feelings
like
with
shared
you?
feelings
you had
with
as
men
much of an
before,
emotional
and they've
response as a
spaced out.
tree.
Andrew, dude,
Okay.
I've shared my feelings with men before, and they've spaced out.
Yeah.
Okay, ADHD is a thing, honey. Learn about it.
Can
What
I
is
say
the
something?
thing?
I said ADHD is a thing, honey.
I
Learn
wanna
about
say
it.
something.
Hold on.
Well, I mean,
wait,
so,
wait.
Learn
I'll
about
let
it.
you come
Any
in in
gender
just a
can
sec.
have it. Any sex can have it.
Wait,
Okay.
hold on.
what's your
hold on,
ADHD?
Yes, dude. You
Oh, okay,
space
so-
out. Like, hello.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said. My ADHD was going.
Okay,
What
and
were
that's
you saying?
fair. And that's fair.
Okay, couple
Wait,
things here.
what? I'm sorry. I can't pay attention to a word you're saying because my ADHD is going.
That's fair.
But anyway, back to
Wait,
this.
wait.
I gotta ask.
Wait,
I gotta-
hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hold on. Okay, can you just scoot your mic
My
to the edge of
mouth
the table?
is literally an inch away from this microphone.
I don't know, fix your posture.
I don't want to. My mouth is literally so close to this
No,
microphone.
but I'm saying you can scoot the mic back and then you move your head back.
But I'd rather just sit like this. Like, I'm more comfortable
All right,
like
whatever.
this.
I'm not going to deal with this right now. Go ahead with your point.
Okay, my point is, it is like in our society, women do find emotional men who talk about their feelings less attractive and less masculine, and so they really don't want to be with them. So men will mask those feelings because women don't want to be with a whiny guy.
Who said
Yep.
that?
I have a
mean,
couple
I think
things
it's
on
a
this whole
society.
vulnerability shit too.
No, but who said that?
It's not what you
It's not
say,
like-
it's actions. Women will leave emotional men. They just will. You
Like,
see
who
it.
said that?
I mean, I don't know. I feel like it depends
don't
on
think
the woman.
that's
First of
true.
all. I don't think it's a gender thing. Okay, first of all.
I mean, it's pretty observable. It must be by your own standard because you say that men are too stoic.
I can ask a couple clarifying questions on this. First off, men and women tend to try to resolve problems in different ways. Typically, men don't like to talk about our problems. We either want solutions or we're just gonna accept it and move on. Now, I do want to try to look at this from a dating lens here. So when it comes to this vulnerability thing, do you guys, just show of hands, do you prefer a confident guy or a guy, like if a guy's approaching you, do you prefer him to be confident or would you prefer him to be like kind of nervous and shy and shaky? So raise your hand if you prefer confident. Up, raise them high, please.
But the
You
point
prefer
you're about to make
confident
is-
guys. Okay, so you prefer nervous, shy, shaky
no,
dudes.
I don't prefer like honestly anything because like if someone comes up to me, I'm not going to judge them for how they.
I prefer a guy
Really?
listening to me.
You're not gonna.
No.
So your confidence is not an attraction trigger for you.
Confidence is attractive, but I've been with someone who I was very happy with. He was
So
a
you don't-
dope guy, and he was emotional. He was.
No,
Oh,
you're,
sorry.
but you're not. Okay,
What?
if given the option,
You're not telling him what he wants to hear.
Oh, what do you want to hear?
it might genuinely be her answer, but she didn't really like. I don't know if she fully understood the question. So
Maybe not.
would you prefer a guy to step to you in a confident manner, or a guy who's like shaky, a little nervous, eye contact's not great?
I mean,
I
he can
retract
be
that.
nervous.
So
I
if
mean,
he's
that's
if he's
like
nervous, does that make him emotional?
Well, we're talking about vulnerability.
I think
here.
that
Does
so
that
I
make
do
him
think that
vulnerable?
would be the
Vulnerable, I don't have
trigger,
an issue
right?
with that.
So if you're looking for confidence or things which you would gauge
think
as
you have to be nervous to
confidence
be
in men, I think that the metrics are somewhat similar between men and women for how they judge confidence, and I think one of those standards is going to be emotional control. So if a person, in other words, if a fire starts in your kitchen and a guy starts running around and screaming just like you do, you would say that that's not a sign of confidence nor competence, right? Yeah, so that would be this kind of lack of emotional control under adversarial conditions seems like that would be tied in with confidence and competence.
Well, I feel like a lack of emotional control doesn't like. I mean, like people can have lack of emotional control and completely fake being confident. Like that's.
Yeah, I don't think that has
yes,
to do with
yeah,
being
hang on.
confident
Yes,
at
that's
all.
true. But what's interesting is that that's why when adversarial positions are pushed on them, you start to see whether or not that's a facade or it isn't a facade. That's one of the reasons that women shit test, right? Because they're trying to kind of push that and see if this guy actually is giving you a facade or if it's the real him.
Well, what I've noticed a lot is that you've made a general stereotype about women, just saying woman this, woman that, when you've made an assumption about one woman at the table. Not all of us are. Not all of us don't care. Not all of us would rather a man speak to a tree than us. Like genuinely, like as me, like I try to be the best person that I can possibly be. If someone needs to talk to me, I'm not going to judge them for it. If someone walks up to me,
Yeah, but actually the kind of the fallacy here, or fallacious argumentations on your behalf, because what you're doing is you're taking a generalized statement and saying, but not me though. But it's not
no, I'm
mapped.
just saying, like,
but you're
personally, like, we
generalizing
could go
Hang
through
on, hang
everyone
on.
at
It's
this
not.
table.
It's not mapped to you specifically. So if I
Exception
say,
doesn't
for
make the
instance,
rule.
Well, I mean, I
most
feel like
women, hang on. If I say most women like tall men, and you go, but I don't like tall men though, that's a non sequitur. It has nothing to do with what I'm saying. It would not change the fact that most women do, even if you don't.
But it does change an opinion.
Well, I'm just saying that not like
you're
every
asking
woman has
for.
the same opinion. Like I have a different one, she's gonna have a different one, they're gonna have different ones. Like everyone, like you can't make a generalized. Sorry, I'm not talking. You can't make really a generalized statement based off of one woman. Like per se, like I don't want to.
We're not doing that though.
Well, you keep saying women this, women that.
Yeah, I know. I'm making a generalized statement based on what we see in observations in society, not that every specific woman follows these same criteria.
You
I'm
are,
sure
though.
that there's plenty of
Honestly,
women
yeah.
who like short guys. I haven't met very many of them, but I'm sure that they're out there.
I mean, it's
but
just
in
a
general,
statistic.
but in general, they don't seem to like short guys.
Was it not a generalized statement when you said women don't care when men speak about their feelings? That's a generalized statement.
That brings
Well,
me.
no, that was applied at the micro, not the macro, because every woman at the table said that they know that men would prefer to talk to a tree rather than
What
men.
does that have to
Why
do with
would
a woman
men
Okay,
caring?
that's
caring?
her to
that
talk
was
to
where
a
I had
tree.
an
That's the
original
issue
point.
right there.
That's society's norms. That's not. It can be gender based, but it also
So
can't.
your objection to you object to generalizations? Is that your
It-
point?
It not necessarily. I would say that some men would prefer to talk to a tree, but that's just because of society. That's not because of women or men. It's not like a gender. It's not because of gender. That's because of
What?
how society has trained them to think. Like I would rather talk to a tree than anyone. It's not a thing about gender. It's just like comfortability because like
If that's
opening up is
true,
scary.
I think we can
Yeah,
test
being
and see if
vulnerable to
that's true
anybody is
by
scary.
asking a
That's not
follow-up
unattractive.
question.
Is my point.
Let's just
One of
ask
my
a basic
points.
follow-up question. Do you think that men are more likely to open up to their feelings to women or to other men?
Probably to other men.
Honestly, it depends on the type because I feel like with my
Just
guy
in
friends-
general,
Everything
Well, it
depends.
depends because you talk about different stuff with like.
Well, yeah,
girlfriends and
because the
girlfriends.
world isn't black and white, dude.
I
There's
didn't say it
layers
was,
to everything.
There's
dude.
generalizations you can
There's
make.
layers to everything.
I have a comment.
I agree. There's layers to everything. But if we were to say that 51% would be most and 49% would be not most, would you say that most men would prefer to talk to other men about their feelings or would prefer to talk to women about their feelings?
From what I've noticed, actually, women like most of my guy friends at
Women.
least, they've talked about it, and I've talked about this with my parents as well, including my dad and my stepdad, and they're like, oh, like there's just women and men have a different relationship. So if you're
Then why in the world would you take the position that they would rather talk to a tree about their feelings than you if you think most of them would prefer to talk to women over men? That makes no
first it
sense.
was-
It's absurd.
Because first it was trees and men, and now it's women and men. So what are we talking about?
Yeah,
Trees
yeah,
and
but
men or
if your
women and men?
position is, do you think that a man would rather talk to a tree about their feelings than talk to a woman?
I think that
Right?
unless they-
That's
I
what
feel
your
like-
actual position is. Then why then would you say that you think that men would prefer to talk to women about their feelings?
I feel like anyone
over
would
men?
rather talk to a tree than another human being. It's easier to open up, honestly.
You think so? Okay, so I see. So you think that all people would rather talk to a tree
Not
about
all
their
people,
feelings?
but like coming from, I don't know, everyone here, I don't know, would you guys rather open up to someone or like talk to a tree because the tree's not going to judge you?
No,
So then let me, so then we can just clear this up
I guess if
really
you want
fast. We can
feedback,
clear it
yeah.
up super
But, like,
quick.
genuinely,
Hang on,
like,
clear it up
talking,
super
like, with
quick.
the-
I mean,
Hang on.
like,
we-
journaling.
the thing is with telling
We can
people
totally
your
clear
business
this
and
up
what's
in
going
1
on is
second.
they can use it against
So
you.
going around with just a quick question, do you think then, going around the table one more time, that men would rather open up about their feelings to women or to other men? Show
Nick,
of
can you
hands.
take her phone?
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Do you think men would prefer to open up to other men about their feelings or to women about their feelings?
Honestly, women.
Going around the table.
I'm still saying women.
I'm gonna say women.
I say women, and I have some interesting statistics on that.
Okay.
Hold on, keep going.
Men probably. I don't know.
Probably women.
If they're married women, but men, usually friends.
Probably men because they can relate to what they're saying. Women usually aren't able to.
Andrew, I do want to move this on pretty
Okay.
soon here, but do you want to finish up?
No, I'm just going to let that stand.
Okay.
Well,
Now,
yeah.
last thing on the bear thing, I do actually want to ask the question. So, what percentage of men, those of you who answered bear, what percentage of men do you think, in the circumstances provided, would choose to victimize you? Starting with you. Go ahead.
What percentage of men?
Right, because so if it were in the United States, it's a random man, that's half the population. I don't know, how much is that, 160 million men?
You're asking what percentage of them would choose to
Right,
victimize
because
me?
so you picked the bear over the man. So you must have done some sort of calculus where you feel that
I
the
didn't.
risk, that's okay, you feel the risk is greater with a man compared to a bear, so you must have some sort of determination when it comes to risk assessment. So if you had to assign a percentage, which men would choose to attack you, I guess?
Which type of men?
No. What percentage of
Okay,
men?
you said
All
which
men would attack you. And
I mean, like, I feel like that's kind of hard to answer. I'm just going to piggyback off of what she said, which is that bears are predictable.
Okay.
You know that their main...
But I'm asking you a question, so this...
I'm
just
getting
answer
to the
question.
answer.
Okay, go ahead.
Bears' main, like, a bear, we know their main goal is to kill us, right? Whatever. They
Sure.
want to attack our face, how you guys are saying,
Yep.
whatever.
Talked about that, yep.
Men, we don't know. They have, like, a plethora of things they could do.
Sure.
Manipulation could be a part of it. They could be like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm going to take you home, don't even worry, and then boom, they kill you.
It could be a...
And so that's why I feel like it's a higher percentage with men versus bears. Because we know what to do in the situation with a bear. Most people have been, I don't know if most people have, but I've been taught what to do in the situation with a bear. With men, am I not speaking into it?
You're like over here.
Is it like only in the center?
You just, like, think of
actually so confused.
Okay, think of the center of your mouth. The center of your mouth needs to be center with the microphone.
Okay, so the sides don't count. I can't talk into the
Just
sides.
Center of
Okay,
the microphone.
gotcha. Center. Yeah, there's a plethora of things
Okay.
men can do.
So can you answer the question, though?
What percent?
Yeah.
just guesstimate.
I acknowledge, yes, a man could do all sorts of things. They
So
could
I'm
do
going to
more
say a
things.
higher percentage. I don't fucking know the percentage, but I'm going to say it's higher.
What, like 50,
Do you
75?
how about, do you think it's a majority of men? So more than 51%.
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to actually give us a range? You think it's 60? You think it's 70? You think
I
it's
don't know.
80?
I don't know. I just think it's a lot of men.
Okay, so do you want to actually just throw a percentage out there?
No.
Well, you already said it's over 51, so just throw a percentage out.
I just don't know the percentage. I just know it's like higher than half.
More than half.
Yeah.
Per se, we could, it's like 51%.
Sure, 51%.
Okay. You said bear, correct?
Yes.
What percentage of men do you think would attack you in these circumstances?
Based on my life, based on my track record, 10%.
Honestly,
I agree.
again, from my personal record, I feel like 51% from my personal statistics, not from anyone else's.
Your personal statistics.
Like from what's happened to me in my life, not anyone else's. Like,
Okay. So you have do you have any siblings? Male siblings?
my brother.
Father,
Trans.
uncles?
Oh yeah, no, I have a stepdad and a dad, uncles.
Okay. And like
Thing.
all the men, so you're basically, the men that you know in your life, 51% of them would victimize a woman in these circumstances?
I wouldn't say the men in my life, but men.
So
like,
you're just a
right-
better judge of character than the general population, or?
Oh no, not at all. Like again,
Okay.
from my and I'm not speaking for everyone else. Everyone has their own stuff. Like I don't hate men. Like I'm just saying from my personal life, I love my stepdad.
So in your
to death.
personal life, what's the percentage?
I'd say 51%. And I'm not saying like my.
No, of the men that you know in your personal
Oh,
life.
that are right now.
That you know, yeah.
Right now, none of them, because I don't like I don't need those people in my life if they're gonna like victimize me and like do this bad shit to me. Like there's no reason to have them in my life. So every man that's in my life right now they're cool. And I don't have nothing but respect for them, including my father.
Who
and my
else said
dad.
bear? Did anybody over here say bear?
No.
Okay. So just to be clear, you guys think that 80 million men in the United States would choose to attack a woman in these circumstances? Just so I have that understanding correct.
I think it's hard to put a number on this.
How is it hard?
I just think it really just like kind of depends.
I know if you put like a bunch of men in like say like a purge night where everything is legal, do you think that 51% of men would like be like go like nuts or not? That's just.
I'm not
I don't
entirely familiar with that movie. I think I have a
Basically,
general...
they kill and do, all the crimes are
Everything's
legal.
legal, basically.
All the
No,
crimes.
I
are
Yeah,
legal.
And in that movie, it wasn't that high.
Like murder and stuff like that. So if you put
Yeah, even in the movie, it wasn't that high. Even in the movie, not at that many people participated in the purge. That's an insane number.
Well, that's a fantasy.
50.
She was actually using that as an example.
If 51% of men would do that, why wouldn't they just enslave all women then?
I don't know. I mean, that's like going back to the movie The Midwife, or what's it called, The Midwife or whatever. But like that's not.
Why are we talking about movies? Movies are not real
I'm saying
life.
It was a
that's what
hypothetical.
I was saying. No, I'm saying hypothetically, if you got a real life purge, like if everyone in this room, if we started a purge, I think that 51% of men would I don't know.
What percentage of women?
I'd say, I don't know. Maybe
1%. 1% of women, 99% of women are good. 50, at minimum, 51% of men.
Oh, they would
go
after men? No, I'd say it's obviously going to be a large amount because both genders obviously have issues, but statistically more crimes are committed by men. According to
what percentage
studies.
of women in the purge situation?
Yeah, a tiny. It's true. I mean, that's true, but it's such a tiny. Do you realize that the amount of violent crime perpetrated by men, as a whole, per capita, it's still very, very small. Most men are not out committing violent crime. Almost no man, in fact.
Well, almost no man. But
almost no man.
If you think that the repercussions were taken away,
could you
You're talking
please repeat
about
that?
a small percentage of society which ever commits violent crimes. Teeny tiny percentage.
I mean,
you're saying most
It
of
is a
them
small percentage.
are not men who are committing these crimes.
No, that's not what I said.
Okay,
I
would they
said
not
even
do it
if
because
more
of
men
morals
commit
or the
crimes
repercussions?
than women, it's still a small percentage of men overall who commit crimes.
No, but are we speaking say again? There's repercussions. Say the repercussions are taken away. Do you think that would make more men act out? Are they not acting out like that because it's against their morals,
Yeah, I
or
think,
because they're
I
scared of
think
the
that
repercussions?
more women would act out as well if you took the repercussions
I'm not
away.
saying
Sure.
I'm not saying that's wrong. I just think statistically, according to all of that, I don't want to mention certain topics on here, but more. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen with women, but statistically, more men do crimes like that. And I'm not saying because I hate men or anything. It's literally just a fact.
But I mean, there's no
Yeah.
disagreement that more men commit violent crimes than women. Nobody's disagreeing that that's true.
Oh no, I know.
It's the scale in which you believe it's true that we're questioning.
Well, what was
I'd say
your
beyond
statement?
probable cause? That's 51%.
Your
which
statement-
means women could be 49%.
Was that in the grand scheme of things, men commit a small amount
Grid 1
of
Motorsport
crimes?
donated $200. Stupid women. A man in the forest is trying to get away from women,
women. Thank
and
you for
have no
this.
interest in hurting you.
Stupid women.
Fucking professional victims on this show. Get some fucking help.
Thanks for the 200.
All right,
Nah,
Grid
that's
One.
real sad.
I'm going to let a couple.
Pay
I need to
$200
read-
to say that. Okay.
I need to read two chats. Abigail, you want to try to hold on? Nick, hide it, please.
Don't worry about it. Sorry.
Can't read it.
Can you read it?
How is the pink shirt?
I'll read it.
Thank you.
Okay, how is the pink shirt girl demanding so much, but all she has is used blank? What's up with the Mexican chick? Okay, I'm not reading the rest of that, bro. You fucking wild, dude.
What?
Law paladins, women want men to be emotional, but yet if Brian gets emotional about being lied to and manipulated, the entire panel jumps on him and attacked him for being emotional.
Well, it's Ben's fault.
I don't think he was being emotional.
Yeah,
He's not being
yeah.
emotional.
No
It's
one
a
attacked him
podcast.
for being emotional.
It's a podcast. He can share his opinion. That's what a podcast is.
Yeah.
No one's.
That's a good point, paladins. I was kind of noticing that. Like when I got tilted, do you see the sort of how do I explain it? When I was tilted, there's almost this sort of
Goodbye, woke black man.
wait, hold on. Let me finish. When I got tilted, there was this sort of malevolent sort of satisfaction, I've gotten under his skin. She enjoyed kind of getting me a little riled up.
I feel like you enjoy riling them up as well. I feel like
I
you
don't
have
enjoy
the same.
riling people up. I prefer just having
Well,
calm,
I feel
level-headed
like
conversations.
you've been
don't.
talking.
This is gaslighting
I
right
feel like
here.
you've been talking very rudely, even just speak in the microphone. I mean, even
How
to
is
me,
that rude? How is
even
it
to
rude
me-
to say that
Well,
when-
it's not that it's rude. It's your the tone in your voice that you're using, and that
If I have
feel
to
like is rude.
remind somebody 7 times.
Yeah, but you did it
if
to me.
Let me ask
you did
a
it to
question.
me, and you didn't have to remind me 7 times, and you gave me
I
a rude
literally-
tone of voice, which I don't care. I have tough skin,
Before the
but-
show, did I instruct you politely to speak into the microphone? I instructed everybody.
Sure, but you don't have to be
politely.
rude about it if you got to remind somebody one time. And I don't even think it was about the microphone.
It's your little comments like, oh, these girls can't even comprehend hypotheticals. You couldn't actually comprehend a hypothetical.
Can you even pronounce hypothetical? Go ahead.
No. You actually couldn't comprehend a hypothetical
What
when
was the
she brought up the Purge movie. You were like, why are we talking about movies? That was a hypothetical. You're out here saying we can't comprehend hypotheticals. That's rude. You're making all these little side comments. Sorry for fucking up the word.
That actually wasn't a hypothetical. So what she was doing was taking an event, a placed event, and then making a creative analogy. It wasn't actually a hypothetical. She wasn't asking
I'm
if
so
you were
sorry
to
to
step
interrupt
in.
you, Andrew.
Yeah.
Also,
if you were
you
to
commenting
step
about
in
me.
the position.
Stop. Let him finish.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to interrupt you.
No, you're not going to have to interrupt him. Go ahead, Andrew. Let him.
Yeah. Well, I'm just
let him
saying
finish,
that wasn't
then you can
actually a
speak.
hypothetical. She was trying to draw statistics from something which is observable that she has seen before. There wasn't a question which was involved that would have made that a hypothetical.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You telling me, oh, can you even pronounce the word hypothetical? That's a rude comment right there. Like, you know what you're doing.
You've
You're
been
trying
sassy
to rile
this
us up.
entire show.
Because you've
I'm
been
matching your
sassy,
energy.
dude.
I am.
I don't
matching
know
your
how
energy.
you like can't even like see that for yourself. Like truly, it actually is boggling my mind, and I'm honestly concerned that you can't understand
And you
how
can't
you
understand
have
how
been.
to speak into the microphone.
See, and there he goes again.
I've
there
literally
you go
told
again.
you multiple times.
Oh my God, is that really our biggest issue here? I feel like you're our biggest issue
Or
here.
you could just do it.
Or is this really me speaking into the microphone our biggest issue here?
You could just do it.
I'm doing it right now, dude.
You've now corrected it. Go ahead with your point.
See, there you go. Like you can't even like.
I'm telling you to finish your point.
No, you're not telling me to finish my
Okay, then
point.
don't
You
finish
can't
your
even
point.
converse with me on important
Cool.
things. You just like to point out, oh, look at you, cool. Like you don't even know how to like have an actual conversation when a woman is bringing up a point that's actually correct.
What's your point?
My point is that
What do
you've
you wanna
been just
discuss?
as rude as I have been. And when I say that, you're just like, oh, can you even speak into a mic?
Yeah, but you started it.
You started it. You started it.
I started.
I mean, you did. You started. Yeah, you started it. You were being a brat. Come on, let's be real. You were being a brat. You know you were being a brat.
No, he was asking
You don't think you're
ridiculous
bratty?
questions. Oh, I think I can definitely have an attitude when necessary. You were asking
Yeah.
ridiculous questions. You were prying her about her friend's passing. I think that's rude and disrespectful, and I called you out on it. And then suddenly you have a problem with that.
You called me an asshole,
Are we doing
actually.
call out culture now? Are we calling each
He's
other
doing
out?
call out culture, you fucking bimbo. Like, hello?
That's himbo to you.
All right.
Okay, himbo.
All right.
My bad.
I'm moving it on.
That's
we have,
himbo. Now notice I didn't insult you at all.
I'm gonna just have to call you a bimbo. I'm so sorry if
Yeah,
that.
you remember how I never insulted you, but you insulted me? That's exactly how it started with Brian too, because you're a brat and you can't
man.
control
But you
your
did call her
emotions.
brat first, and
Brat.
she
You
called you
did
a
call me a
bimbo.
brat first.
Stop being
Actually,
brat.
Andrew, that's a good point.
I wanna
You
share
called me a
this.
brat first, then I called you a bimbo.
Andrew, do you have kids?
Ah, there we go.
Wait.
There we go.
Wait, do you have kids?
Got you.
Yeah.
Do you
I
talk
do.
to your children like this?
Oh,
Like
Do I
genuinely?
call them brats? Do
Yeah.
do I call them brats when they're being brats?
No, I mean like just like
No.
the nagging and like the name calling and just like
And the passive
shit.
aggressive.
Yeah, I'm
like,
sorry,
and the
did I
side
call-
It's just
Comment.
funny because I'm watching a grown man like nag.
Wait.
like, a little,
Did
like,
I call
teenager.
anybody a name or did someone?
Yes, you called me a brat. Hello.
Yeah, hang on, after what? After you called me a
She
name.
started it.
No,
I
you
owned
got it
it
first. You called me a brat first.
See,
Then I called you a
No,
bimbo,
we gonna have to
honey.
rewind
no,
this.
no.
No, you called him a himbo.
You called me a himbo, so I said you're a brat.
You said it first.
I thought
You
you
said it
I thought
first.
you
And by the
said
way-
I thought
by
you
the
said
way-
that you were being a brat, and that's why. And you were no. I thought
This
I
is
thought
the-
you said she was being a brat because
No,
you were
no,
saying
no, I
that
said
about
the behavior was
what their
bratty,
whole thing
but
was.
I didn't call her a
And then
brat.
I think she called you a bimbo, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, I didn't call her a
I
brat.
have to
I
go
just said it was
back.
bratty behavior.
You didn't call me a brat. I'm
After
so sorry.
you called me a bimbo.
You're describing her. That is
Oh my God, you guys are ridiculous.
using
these
some
days.
adjectives.
Oh.
I want a shirt that says himbo.
Yeah, I want a shirt that says himbo. Actually, I'm a himbo. I want that as a shirt. I think you guys get a lot of money
No,
from
you're
that.
just a bimbo, not a himbo. You can't take himbo.
No, I'm not
That's
taking
me.
himbo.
You're
That's totally your
bimbo.
thing. You're so right.
It B with a B for you.
Himbo,
An H for
himbo.
me,
I think it
himbo.
should be you're a bimbo.
Yeah, himbo.
No, I'm a himbo, and that's the shirt that we get made. And you
Yeah,
guys,
what man would be upset by being called a himbo though?
I don't know what.
do you like being called a himbo?
No, man. Yeah, sure. That's fine. I mean, that's fine with me.
Okay, I love
Yeah.
that for you.
I'm gonna read some chats. All right.
himbo?
Thank you, Cider. A bear might maul you to pieces if it thinks you are a threat to its cubs. Also, a bear is not going to help you find a way out of the woods, but a man might. In fact, most men are decent and would try to assist a woman lost in the woods, no matter how much they yap. Okay, thank you, Dixon Cider. Wait, holy fuck, bro, your name. Oh, you fucking got me, you son of a bitch.
Why you gotta talk about
You son of a bitch.
69 Dixon Cider.
You got me, bro.
What's
Oh
that
my
mean?
God.
69 Dixon Cider.
Okay, all right, Greg.
Sorry.
You can reason with a man, you can't reason with a bear.
I don't actually know if
Okay,
you can
well
reason with
put.
a man.
I mean, not
I
a
tried to
predator.
reason with y'all, and it
How you
wasn't
gonna
working.
reason with a predator? But,
I would say,
but I'm not saying
honestly,
all men are predators.
Your guys' logic why you wouldn't choose the man and you choose the bear because the bear is more predictable is why I would choose the man, because I can predict. There's like, even if it is a 51% chance that I'm going to be victimized, that is way better odds than 100% or like even 99% chance that I'll get killed.
I feel like if you had a 51% chance that you were gonna get victimized, you would go with the odds that you're gonna get victimized, and you wouldn't talk to a man.
No.
But that with that logic, that
51%
is
chance that I'm
that's all I'm
screwed
saying.
versus 100% chance that I'm screwed.
51% chance. So you got a 49% chance that you won't be victimized. I'm not agreeing with.
Also not
that.
a 100% chance that you're screwed.
But if you
Okay,
got a
maybe
51%
90.
chance,
Like, you can
you're going to be
ignore the
victimized
bear.
by a man for sure. And you know this is a statistic. You're not going to talk to a man. You're not.
No,
I mean,
I'm
you might,
choosing
but
the-
you're probably not.
I'm choosing the man
Come on.
because the odds that I'm going
you're
to be
not.
victimized by a man
hold
is
on.
51
You got, please just speak into the mic straight on.
versus I would say maybe 99% chance that I get victimized by a bear. The odds are way higher for
But
the
you
bear.
don't. I mean, so you're saying it's a 100% chance you're gonna get victimized by a bear, and only a 51% chance you're gonna get
I'm
victimized
using the
by a
51% chance. I would say it's
By a
way
man.
less. I'm using your guys' statistic.
Go ahead.
No.
Pull it up.
It's gonna be the 5'10" shit.
All right, brown bear.
Kyle?
Up to 9 feet tall, 1,300 pounds, claws up to 4 inches, bite force 1,200 psi, pelt fur
Said
up to
hi to
5
you at the
inches,
gym.
speed up to 35 miles per hour. Kyle, 5'10", 174 pounds. Project engineer said hi to you at the gym. Yeah.
My God.
If you had to choose between these two, which do you pick?
The bear.
Kyle.
What if Kyle has a gun?
Oh boy.
What if they get
Shot then mauled.
I don't know.
Man.
Well, I mean, it could
Girl.
be worse than.
What if Kyle
Girl.
manipulates you, takes him into
Shake my head.
Yeah.
takes
What
you
if-
into his truck,
Yeah, what if?
So dumb.
and what if the bear hurts you? You
Well,
know,
the number one
we're
rule
we're working with
is
what
a
ifs here,
woman.
Brian.
All right. Well,
Yeah,
we're gonna
can
move
we-
on.
working
Being
with
alone
what
in a
ifs.
forest
Yeah.
with a man.
That's
what my
real.
mom taught me.
All right, so moving on to, I'm just gonna get through my rapid fire questions here, then we'll get into the pre-show notes. So
Wait, we're not even at
let's
the show
see
yet?
here. Are men or women physically stronger?
I'm gonna go men.
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 Men. Men.
Men.
Obviously, they have
All right.
testosterone. Women have estrogen.
They didn't know. They didn't-
Women also have testosterone, just so you know.
Yeah, and so do
Here, I'll read this chat
men
while
also
we're-
have estrogen.
Okay, I'll wait until they're all back then. We have Brian Burns. Using the logic put forth by the women here, they'd rather fall victim to a bear 100% of the time compared to the 51% probability of being victimized by a man. Sad.
I mean, not all.
Who was the one who's saying, was it the girl who just got up? Or someone was talking about, anyways.
Grid 1 Motorsport donated $200. I double dog dare any of you strumpets to debate Mrs. Rachel Wilson. I know you do not have it in you, but it will be entertaining to watch you make excuses why you won't do it.
Yeah, Rachel Wilson, good debater. Andrew Wilson's esteemed wife.
Provider way. I'm just kidding, I don't know.
Got a TikTok brain situation. Okay. I'll just wait for her to get back. Actually, I'll just go into one of my, hold on. She's a no-show. Allison, why don't you tell us the whole abandoning a guy story?
Okay, so this was before I became a Christian, about 4 years ago, so please keep that in mind on the way that I acted. So I was like 22 years old and I was on Tinder, and I enjoyed, going to bars and drinking. I was in Wisconsin. We drank a lot. So I meet this guy and he meets me at a bar, and when he meets me, I'm drunk. I'm very, very intoxicated. And he's like super into me, and I tell my friend Liz, who is my DD, we should go to Wisconsin. Like, I want this guy to meet my mom because, like, I just like him so much, and we're in Texas. And he agrees to it. So he gets in the car with me and my friend Liz, she's driving, to go meet my mom. So we actually stop at his mom's house. I meet his mom. Keep in mind, I'm very drunk, okay? Like, I would not be able to, like, probably walk by myself. So I invite him with us. So I meet his mom, he packs a suitcase, we get in the car, and we're heading to Wisconsin. Well, in about the bottom of Arkansas, I started to sober up a bit, and I'm like, who's this guy in the back seat? I'm like, what are we doing here? And we've committed to a trip, and it's like 15 hours. So I'm telling Liz, I'm like, we need to ditch this guy. And she's like, no way, like, that's so mean. Like, you invited him, you met his mom, and like, I'm like, I don't care. I was like, I literally don't care. Well, wow. Anyways, we kept driving, and Liz is like, no, that's messed up. I just didn't feel safe. So then we were in the bottom of Illinois. It's about 11 hours outside of Texas. He was taking turns driving. I'm completely sober. He went to a gas station to go get something to drink, and his suitcase was in the trunk, but I jumped into the front seat, and I, like, threw it in reverse, and I peeled off. And I was like, block him on everything right now. And, yeah, we just blocked him, and we left him in the bottom of Illinois. But I think he had his phone in his wallet, so he was good.
Huh.
But you stole his luggage?
Wild.
Technically, but I know Liz's parents did eventually get it back to them, and my dad wasn't mad at me. He was happy.
Oh, well, I guess that makes it all better then.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
She's Christian now.
Well, there's why... Yeah, I mean, maybe hanging out with a tree is a better idea too. Not just talking to one. I don't know.
Well,
would the tree abandon you in the bottom of Illinois? I don't know. I don't think it would.
You don't think, like, men have done type things to women?
Oh, yeah. Let's shift the burden over to men again. She does something absolutely horrible, and that's also men's fault, right? Because they've done horrible things, so therefore no accountability, right?
Can two people suck at the same time?
Yes.
Men do bad things. She did the bad thing.
Exactly.
Like, I admitted that I did the
100%.
bad thing. I put myself in a bad, dangerous situation, in a stupid situation. Why would I bring him to meet my mom? I was wasted when I met him.
You mentioned dangerous situation. How long was he with you?
Sounds like he was in the dangerous situation.
He was. No, he was. But
He
like
was the
30.
victim.
Well, I thought too. He's got bad judgment. Why would he get in the car with us?
Well, he made.
Oh, it's his fault. You
No,
know,
it was my
what
fault.
a psycho he is. What a lunatic.
Both
This
parties
guy
take
who
accountability.
trusted you and got in your car and did nothing to you, who you abandoned and stole his luggage. Because you didn't feel safe. What? What kind of lunacy?
But what kind of man just gets in a car with two random women?
Well, I was really
It's always the
drunk and
man's fault. Always the man's fault.
It's man's
It goes
fault.
both ways.
It does go.
It goes both ways.
Yeah.
It's a two-way
didn't
street,
feel-
baby.
I didn't feel safe. How does it go both ways in this situation?
I
Explain
mean,
it.
I'm
I
not
wanna hear
saying that what
This is
she
victim.
like. No.
I never said it was his
I'm
fault.
definitely not
Total
saying
victim
it's this
blaming.
man's fault in this situation. I'm not agreeing, but I'm saying to like hate on her like, oh yeah, no wonder why I'd rather talk to a tree. Like men have done all types of stuff to women too, so it's not really like fair to
Okay,
say
that's
that's
a
why.
whataboutism.
So
Well, what about the men though?
What about the men do?
No,
right? What
okay,
about what the men
sure,
do that's bad?
sure.
Okay, great.
Okay.
It's
Arrest
fine.
her,
You
take her to
can
jail,
shift
man.
You can shift accountability off from her story and
But-
horrible things she did that she justifies by saying, because I didn't feel safe.
where are
though."
you debating this from against
Yeah,
yourself?
she's-
I said
she's
I
agreeing
did
with
that
you.
thing. It was before I was a Christian. I was horrible. I never put the blame on him. I was
No,
the
you
problem.
did. You said you justified it by saying that you didn't feel safe.
No, I didn't.
She didn't
You
say she
did.
was
I never
around
said I didn't
safe.
feel safe. I said I put myself in a dangerous situation.
And you didn't feel safe?
I never said I didn't feel safe. Did I?
No,
So you did
but
feel
that's
safe.
okay. You didn't feel safe.
It's not that I was afraid of him. It's that I put myself in a dangerous
That's
situation. But
accountability in and of itself.
I'm just saying I said it was before I was a Christian. I did something really bad, It was a horrible thing.
Yeah.
And that's how I opened up with it. I'm not saying it's this guy's fault. I felt bad for him, but also I was a terrible person.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, have you ever said you were sorry to this guy?
No, because it was years later, like when I realized how bad it was. But no, I wish I could. Scott, if you're watching this, I am sorry.
She said
This is
she
your
didn't
apology,
feel
baby.
safe, and that's okay.
But that's not why I
And she
ditched
took
him.
accountability.
I ditched him because I was a mean person back then, and I didn't care about other people or how bad it put them out or anything like that. The world revolved around me.
What did you do for the rest of that weekend?
I went to Buddy O'Brien's house and went snowboarding, and we did go to my mom's, and yeah.
So you went and partied?
I mean, yeah, I was 22 years old. I was an idiot.
Okay.
I lived for myself.
What is your point here, Andrew?
I was just asking a follow-up question. I was curious what you did that weekend.
What does that have to do with anything?
I'm sorry, does every question need to lead to some kind of gotcha outcome? Or can I just ask kind of general questions?
You can.
What was the point? Well, what was the point of her story?
I was also just asking a general question.
Yeah, what was the point of her story?
Probably to get that reaction, I guess, out of
You don't know what the point of her story was?
I mean, I got in halfway through, so.
Yeah, so I don't know. So my question is to have a point. Her story doesn't. I don't know. I'm trying to follow the logic here.
Oh man.
Yo, thank you, Kill of Cereal. Sorry if I was a little tilted earlier. My bad, man.
Tilted Brian. What does that mean?
What does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Tilted, it's a video game term, actually dating all the way back to pinball machines. So when you used to play a pinball machine, if you were like playing the game and you got frustrated, people would literally tilt the game. And so in a video game, like if you keep losing matches or you're not getting good RNG, you're not getting good luck in a video game, you can become frustrated. It's a video game term, tilted.
By the way,
have a question.
I'm glad you turned it all around and that you don't do horrible things like that anymore. I was just kind of curious.
Play video games?
No. To the gal who's telling the story.
Wait, but you took his luggage?
I mean, I wasn't thinking about that. I thought it was my moment to ditch him. Liz, it was her car. She was saying no, and I just thought, we're ditching this guy. It was like, I could not bring him to my mom.
I won't linger on
Did
it
you
too
guys
long.
go through his luggage?
Yes, we did.
Like to get stuff?
No, we just wanted to see like what was in here, and we found.
What did you find?
Okay, you know, like those little pills that you can buy at a gas station,
Like rhinos?
Condoms,
Yeah.
So I was like, so he already thought because
The rhino
I gave off
What
that
the-
impression. So I was like, man, like
No fucking
that's
way.
my bad.
No fucking way.
And that's
he
why
had
she left
boner
him. No, I'm
pills.
playing.
She's like, this man's got some big.
No
butts.
way he had boner
She did was
pills.
not right.
No, I swear.
There's no way he had boner pills.
He
in his
did, and I
luggage.
told my dad you could call.
Okay, all right, fine. He had boner pills. Okay.
But he was under the impression you guys were gonna go off for the weekend and smash, right?
He wanted
That's what he
Probably if I
Threesome.
invited him, yeah. I mean, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I was so drunk.
Okay.
Good
It was a long time ago, 9 years ago. I
Good
think.
running.
I've done
wild.
something like that before, and I felt bad.
Why don't you tell us?
Not too bad though.
Tell us what happened.
Well, basically, I was out at the club, right? So, basically, I was at the club, and I met this old man who was buying me and my dude some drinks. And then...
Wait, sorry. Did you say a man or what?
I said I met this man, this
Oh, okay,
older man,
okay.
who was buying me and this dude some drinks. And then he like offered to give us, me and my friends, an Uber back home. So, you know, he was gonna give us an Uber back home, and then I checked the address, and the address was actually to his hotel. So,
So wait, what did you do?
well, I clocked him. I said, that is not our address. Change that shit. Put in our address. Uber came. He got in the car. And then my friends kicked him out of the car.
I actually don't think you did anything wrong there. If, as explained,
Right.
he was going to get you an Uber to your back to your place, right? Mm-hmm. But then he was trying to get you guys, unbeknownst to you, to his place. I think the panel can agree.
Yeah.
I don't think you did anything
Protecting
wrong.
yourself in that situation.
Unless I'm misunderstanding something, but
Thank you guys.
Yeah,
I was
give
feeling
yourself
guilty.
grace. No.
Wow.
well, the plan
that's
was
scary.
to go back
Punched
to
him?
your place, right? Like
It's
the
good
plan
that
was
you
to go
noticed
back
that
to you.
beforehand.
Well, yeah, but like
Right.
it wasn't for him to come back to the place. He was just supposed to get us an Uber to our
Oh,
house.
I think I see. So you felt like
I think he thought he was supposed to come hang out
was
with
he?
us.
Oh,
Okay, I sort of understand. So
Do you
was
get what I'm
he?
saying?
Was he? he was kind of just doing you like a nice thing, just like he was going to pay for you and your friend's Uber.
Right.
And he maybe thought he was going to go hang out with you guys, but then he put the address to. So
To take all you guys to his address?
Yeah, originally he put it into his address, and I was like, no, put it into our address. And then I think he thought he was gonna come kick it with us. And then they they started screaming.
I could see how this could
in the
happen, yeah.
in the Uber, which I thought was a great
Y'all were
move.
drunk. Everybody was drunk, I'm assuming.
Yeah, but I also thought it was a smart move. Like they started screaming in the Uber and being like, we don't know this dude, and then they kicked out the dude.
Oh, poor guy, yeah.
So yeah,
think
I'm
this
saying
was-
from your guys' perspective, like yeah, maybe that was fucked up. But also,
Nah, I think this was actually probably
also-
just like a drunken mix-up.
I think it was a smart thing to do on our end.
I mean, if you didn't want to hang out with a guy, I don't think there's anything wrong with telling him no.
She didn't want to hang out with the guy.
I did not want to hang out with him.
And she told him no. Let's talk about that.
It's a little
didn't tell him
different. A little different. In any case, okay, let's go through the rapid fire questions. Who is the primary victim of war, men or women? Starting with you.
Oh my God. I'm going to need a minute to think about that. Let's not start with me. Plead the fifth.
How about
right now.
I'll count to 10.
No. You're going to have to start with somebody else.
Okay. Start with you. Go ahead.
I'm gonna go men on that one.
I'll say men.
Men.
I think both, but
Both.
Yeah, I think both.
Both.
both
Okay.
for sure.
Both.
Yeah, Loki.
Men.
Probably men.
Okay. Now, for those of you who said both, assuming you had to pick one or the other, which do you pick? So
Man.
I mean, I can't really pick because I feel like, I don't want to know if y'all want me to elaborate, but
Sure, you can elaborate.
I feel like the women are suffering just as much. If the men are at war and they're dying and the women got to pick up the pieces of all that, and then raise children by themselves and all that, then, they're both really victims.
I would say
you
both
ask
are
me.
victims, but
agree.
he asked who's the primary victim.
Primary, I think both.
Who would you rather be in this
just because you're dead, there's children now growing up with fathers and all that.
Wait.
And
But you get to
so-
watch them grow up.
okay, let me get your answer.
So, and then we're talking about like literal war, right? Not some like metaphorical.
Yeah, so you said both. If you had to pick, which?
Statistically, I don't know. I don't know. If you look it up, it'd probably be men.
Okay, so going back to your
Statistic?
point, you're saying, well, it's both because, the men are dead, but the women, it's tragic. They've lost their husband, their father.
Yeah, you don't know what
son,
they have to do
whatever it
to
is.
keep it going.
But
keep
wouldn't
it
you
pushing.
agree that when it comes to being a victim of something, being really, really sad isn't as bad as being dead?
What's the emotional trauma being passed down now onto these generations through these men being dead? Sure, they're the primary victims. Are they the primary victims? I don't know. Because now you go to war. Now, let's say your grandpa goes to war, your dad goes to war, your uncles go to war. Now, your grandma and your mom is raising, let's say, 5, 6, 7 children, and you can't even raise these kids I don't know, and these kids don't have any fathers in their life. So are they really the men, sure, they died. They went to war and fought and died, but they're still a victim.
Or then you have
so
the
Let me ask you a different
I don't
question.
know.
If somebody has cancer and then they die of cancer, are they the primary victim?
Well, of course.
Or
But that's
is
cancer.
their
That's a
family-
disease. I think it's different.
Yeah, but
than
you
war.
but you still have to pick up the pieces, and you have emotional trauma.
That's true.
And
That is
all
very
the same,
true.
all the same side effects, right?
Well, when you say primary victim, are you talking about physically? Okay, obviously the men who go to war.
In totality. I'm not making any differentiation between.
I feel like you kinda
mentally,
have to, though, in this
physically. No, not
situation.
really.
Why not
Well, the
really?
question is in totality.
I feel like it goes both ways.
I think
I
I
would
think
say-
I think he made a good point with the cancer thing. I do think he did make a good point with that.
Speaking of which, we
But
didn't get
yes.
your answer to the question.
both.
Both. Okay.
I would ask, who would you rather be, a man in war or a woman at home stuck with, picking up the pieces?
You're asking a woman from her point of view what I would rather be. I don't know. That's a fair
Just
question.
what situation would you rather find yourself in?
I wouldn't even want to be a man, so.
I
don't know,
Okay, then we'll just ask it this way: would you rather go fight the wars while the men stayed at home?
If I was physically more.
No, just as you are
adapted,
right
sure.
now.
Huh?
As you are right now.
As I am right now. Would I want to fight a war? Definitely not.
Yeah, definitely not.
I don't think anybody wants to fight war.
Do you think, so let's assume for a second that you're happily married, okay, and your husband has like a busted leg, okay, and you get drafted and you get sent off to war and he stays home. And while you're in the war and there's blood and guts everywhere and you're watching your friends get, sniped and
it's the
all this
righteous
other
thing to
stuff,
do for
and
America.
you hang on, and you die, is your husband as much of a victim as you?
If wait, I'm sorry. So my husband's like a stay-at-home.
Yeah.
Cause I don't know what happened. I got drafted. Okay.
Yeah.
Is he much of a victim? Yeah, I think so. I think
You
now
think
he's
he's
got to
as much
pick up
of
the
a victim
pieces
as you
of.
are?
Yeah, he's just as much of a victim of war as I am. I think.
That's great.
You know, it just,
in his next marriage, he can sit down and be like, oh man, I've had it rough. My wife died in a war, and I'm as much of a victim as she is.
Yeah,
and,
for him. Man.
And so you
don't know what that did to him.
Really? That's what you think? That's the point of view?
Yeah, well, think about a woman. I mean, if a woman has sit there and her man died, and now she's got to go on with that. I mean, who is to even say like she goes and remarries? But let's say she does. I'm
not saying she's not going to have like emotional trauma from it. I'm just asking, do you really think that she's the primary victim here?
I think she's a primary victim. Yeah, I think so. But that's just my opinion.
Well, then how come your husband wouldn't be the primary victim if you went off to war?
I just said he would have been.
He would have been. So your husband.
I said both. Like my answer to the question wasn't man or woman. It was I feel like both are. So that's my answer. It's not.
I don't think
that
you can choose a primary. Is what she's saying.
Exactly. I don't think like that. I think they're very much equally primary victims of war. That's what I think.
They're equally primary victims.
Yes, there's a war going on, just like cancer. If my husband dies of cancer, I feel like I'm primarily a victim of cancer. It took my husband. Now I have to sit here and pick up the pieces of that. So now that makes me somewhat a victim as well. Like I had to deal with that.
So
maybe just because I don't have cancer doesn't mean I'm not a victim
So if you could choose, if your husband had cancer or you had cancer, and you could choose, which one would you choose?
What if we had to choose which one had to have cancer? I think being a righteous person, you'd always choose yourself. So I guess I would choose myself. I wouldn't want.
You would choose yourself.
I wouldn't want.
But wouldn't you be victimizing him a bit?
Yeah. But he would be a victim if he chose him. It'd be the same way, vice versa. If I wanted to do it, and he wanted, So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have a couple clarifying questions on this one. So when it comes to, some of you said both. Does anybody here think it's women? Or is it both?
I think it's both.
Say more.
Okay, so I'd like to perhaps break this down into a couple different conflicts. So, and I want to break it down geographically. So, the United States, for World War I, who's the primary victim of war of the U.S. population during World War I, men or women? Or is it both?
Wait a second.
Okay,
But you're saying the primary victim of war.
In World
War I.
Yeah.
Does that change your answer at all? For those of you who said both.
Well, who was the primary victim? Who had the most casualties was obviously men, and probably young men at that. But does that mean the women weren't victims in World War I? Yes, they definitely were. They had to pick up the pieces.
The women had to pick up. Okay. Your answer? You said both, right? Okay, for World War I, what's your answer for U.S. men?
For U.S. men, I think, since I said both, I feel like men, it's more physical trauma, and for the women, it would be more mental. And I'm not saying that war doesn't have...
For the women, yeah. Okay.
Well, it's just because, say your, husband died, and that's, the love of your life, and, you love that man, and he dies, then it's that's...
Okay.
It's
and I believe too, then in World War I, or no, I guess it was probably more like World War II, where it was the economy went really bad. And women were the ones who had to carry the economy while men were at war,
So just to be clear on the World War II note that you just brought up,
they had to get up and go work.
Yeah, but it's sad because women didn't have rights before that.
Those victims.
That's why they gave us rights, because they couldn't work.
Weren't they woe man?
Well, just to be clear, you said women didn't. There's a lot.
They did have some rights, but they didn't have the right to vote, and so.
Wait, just to be clear, women. You're saying your argument is women didn't have the right to vote during World War II.
I can't remember the year, but if it was the 30s, 40s, or 50s that women were able to vote.
What year did women get the right to vote?
I don't know. Was it the 50s or was it the 30s?
Well, here, let me ask you a different question.
I'm not sure.
What decade was World War I?
It was in the 1910s, right?
Well done.
Yeah.
What years were World War II?
It was the late 1920s, 1930s, I believe, wasn't it? Or didn't it start? It all started like Nazi Germany. All that started around like the 20s, the early 20s. So I can't give you exact dates.
You're not.
I can't remember.
I mean, you said late 30s, so you're
No,
not
I said
totally
late
far
20s,
off,
early
but-
30s, right? Wasn't
Well,
it?
not late 30s is correct. Late 20s for World War II, not so much.
Okay.
Women got the right. Okay, World War I, 1914 to 1918.
Mm-hmm.
Women got the right to vote 1920. World War II, 1939, 1945.
Right. Okay. So there you go. You know more
but
than me.
you said that the
Well,
women.
I know women weren't really working during World War II up until that time. So I know that that's when women became in the workforce more.
And
Was
you
during
think
World War II.
women having to be involved in the war effort during World War II is a bigger level of suffering and victimization than the men who had to go?
I mean, what are the women having
war?
to deal with? Like they have to
I'll
raise.
tell- I'll give
Listen.
you- hang on,
They
I'm
have
gonna-
to
I'll
raise
tell you- I'll
families.
tell you
They
some of
have
the
to
extreme
work.
conditions.
They have no help. The
These
economy
are-
is super poor. So these women
these
are
extreme
victims.
conditions. I'll explain the conditions to women. They had to go into factories, sometimes for up to 8 hours a day,
Oh man.
and work.
Listen, no. And their husbands are their husbands are at war. They're at home taking care of all the children, all the bills. The economy
of
is
them didn't even
super
have
poor. The
children.
economy is super horrible. We're in the Great Depression, right? The Great
Wait,
Depression's
hold
in the
on.
30s. So
The Great.
wasn't it
World
in the
War
30s,
II,
early
Great
30s?
Depression.
Yeah. Well,
Okay,
maybe that was
okay,
after.
Back to history.
So hang on.
Man, I know
Okay,
some history,
what would be
but
the
I can't
distinction
remember
now?
exact years.
Wait, what would be the distinction now between a single mom getting up and going to work? It's like I don't get it. If the victim, they're victims because they had to look after their own children, which they would have to do
No,
anyway,
because
and they
they-
had to work.
No, they're victims of war.
And guess what? Nobody's
because of
forced
the
them to work.
economy. Because their men are not there. They're at war. Their husbands
Mm-hmm.
are dying. Their fathers are dying. Their uncles, brothers, sons are dying.
Mm-hmm.
That's emotionally traumatizing. I know during the World War II economy was not that great. I believe. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the economy was great, but I thought it wasn't from what I thought. But
I've got a couple questions here. So,
I mean, those poor women, they had to go work.
it's not about working.
Okay, I'm
There's an
gonna-
emotional trauma, and women are way
I know
more
it's way more
than men.
emotionally traumatizing to deal with the death rather than getting blown up yourself.
I'm not saying like the
Hold
men
on.
aren't victims.
So let me
Like I said, both are.
just throw out a couple statistics here. So 16 million Americans served in the United States Armed Forces during World War II. There were almost 300,000 were killed, 670,000 were wounded, almost exclusively men.
Yeah.
There were also 130,000 American prisoners of war, of whom 116,000 returned home after the war. Now, let's also make an assumption here, and maybe, Andrew, I don't know if you can help me search this. What percentage of the serving military men were married? Because typically they're drafting 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds. I know people got married much younger then. I don't know if they have statistics on
Again,
that.
uncles,
but
fathers,
let's just for the
brothers,
sake
not just
of
husbands.
let's just for the sake of argument say that a majority of the men were not married, didn't have children, didn't have a significant other, didn't have a girlfriend. So the sort of in my view, the secondary victims would be who? The family?
It's estimated.
So like I said,
Wait,
sorry,
hold
you
on.
wanna be right.
About 46% were married.
46%. Okay, so a minority, but still a lot, right?
Still a lot.
Okay. But let's talk about then that majority of men who were single, who were not married. If we talk about them, we look at them, I assume they only had a mother and a father. If they're the ones that go and die and they don't have a significant other to mourn for them, wouldn't hold on, let me finish my point.
Grandma.
Let me finish my
sister.
point. Wouldn't you said mom, grandma, sister,
Younger children
brother,
we might have, even though
father,
they're single.
uncle. You do realize that the suffering the secondary suffering that you're alluding to that is experienced by family members is equally shared by the genders. The mother loses a son, the father loses a son. So assuming these majority of men,
I think it's wrong to like think that women aren't just as much as victims, but okay.
Hold on.
Men are more victims.
But hold
sure.
on. So,
Just 'cause they had to fight.
actually engage with the scenario I'm giving you here. Of the single men who had, let's assume they had a mom and a father who were living, and let's say they had no siblings, and it was just the mom and the father, and then that boy, man, whatever, went to war and he died. His mom is going to grieve. His father's going to grieve and mourn. In that scenario, who's the primary victim of war?
I mean, definitely the guy, I guess. But I mean, who's to say that the emotional impact and physical and financial impact doesn't reflect just as much in the family?
Right, but okay, so hold on. I'm trying to look at this from a math perspective here.
I just got to
I think
ask
you're
this
just trying to prove
real
your
fast.
point, and
Who's the
I'm-
primary
you know?
victim in an abortion, the mother or the fetus?
Oh man,
Fetus.
I'm not gonna speak on this one. This is
Yeah,
political.
I'm just asking you. Who's the primary victim, the mother or the fetus?
I don't know. An abortion?
Yeah.
Probably the baby. I mean, I don't know.
Depends. I feel like.
I feel like I'm definitely pro women's choice, so I'm not gonna sit here.
All right,
and,
we
you
can come
know.
to that later. We can come to that later. So, okay. If there's one mother, if there's one father, and there's one male who dies, and if this is the majority of the men that were involved in World War II that lived in the United States,
But okay, but just because they were single doesn't mean that they didn't have children or anything. Just that you don't.
they
have,
probably,
you know what I'm
if
saying?
they weren't married, they probably didn't have children in this time period.
I would say yes and no. You know, I
Okay,
agree with you.
let's-
I agree with you because during that time,
Okay, let's
obviously,
assume- let's
yes. But does that mean they didn't have children?
Wait, hold
No.
on. But the
So
children,
out
let's
of
assume the
40%,
gender of the children
46%.
of these men who had children out of wedlock, 50% were boys and 50% were girls.
Okay, what like the children, the babies?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what does that have to do with
You're
who's the
the one
victim? These
you
children are
brought
now
up.
growing up with no father.
I don't even understand
out of
your
wedlock,
argument.
even worse.
I don't even understand your
Yeah.
argument here because the child could be a boy or a girl. The framework of the question is, who's the primary victim of war, men or women?
And
so
I
if it's
said
a
both.
boy child and if it's a female child and this is equally distributed, then
How is
this
it
doesn't
not?
help your argument that it's both.
It does.
No, because
It
okay,
does,
if you-
actually.
fine, I'll grant you. Let's say he had 2 children out of wedlock. He has one father, one mother, one boy, and one girl. That's still an extra man who's dead. Who is the primary victim of war?
Everybody involved.
It's amazing. I have to. So I don't even know how to actually argue this. I'm just going to,
Exactly.
if Andrew, I'm going to defer to you because I can't even.
I was just going to say, if the baby is the primary victim in an abortion, what is the deciding factor that makes the baby the primary victim and not the mother?
Mother's health.
How far along the fetus is?
Yeah, no, hang on. I'm asking the gal here. She was the one who gave the answer that she thought that the baby was the primary victim. If that's the case, what is that deciding factor as to why the baby's the victim, the primary victim, and not the mother?
I mean,
What do you think that would be?
I feel like I can't really answer this question because it's not really something I want to speak on, for one, and two, I'm pro like people just make their choices. Like I do what I would do personally. I don't put onto what the next person could do. So what I feel like would be wrong, I'm not gonna judge somebody else. So, you know what I'm saying? Like
not
that's not
asking
my
if you get
yeah.
one or
And
not.
so
He's
I'm not
asking-
gonna answer the question for that reason. What I feel like my opinion is on the answer, I don't want to give it because it's a very political question. And I
Okay,
don't feel like-
okay. Well, let's try it
Yeah.
a different way. You would agree that aborting at 9 months would be bad, right? You would at least agree that that's true.
I mean, the baby's full grown, full term.
Yeah.
So,
So if the mother had the abortion, then who would be the primary victim?
I mean, why did the mother do it? Like,
'Cause she
why?
didn't want it
She just
anymore.
didn't want it? Okay, then the baby. Because now you're
Than
just
the
being
baby.
selfish.
So what would make the baby the primary victim?
I mean, you carried a baby full term to where it
Yeah,
should be.
would it be the
A baby
death
could
part
live
that would
outside
make
the
the
womb at
baby the
this
primary
point, so it
victim?
doesn't even need to be in your, you know. So at that point, if you get an abortion, then sure. But I don't really want to speak on abortion because, yeah, it's not my place. I don't think.
All right.
I think.
Well, do you have something quick? 'Cause I'll
Yeah,
move
pretty
things
quick.
on.
I think the point he was trying to get at is the baby's the primary victim because the baby's dying. And so he was going to turn that over to men in war dying and saying that if you use that logic for abortion, it can be applied to this
But
scenario
it's
where
like
the man
comparing
would be the
apples and
bigger victim.
oranges. Like war to abortion, like it's two different things. War is a very
Right,
like.
you can compare things that are very different.
Yeah, there's never a comparison which is going to be exact. What we're trying to just do is just test the logic for perceived victimhood.
Right.
So in this case, in war, I think I understand what you're
Save that
saying.
one,
You're
man.
saying that there's a bunch of external factors which could make women also victims in war, which would include things like emotional damage, trauma, psychological, intergenerational trauma, which could happen because you lost grandpa when you were a kid. All of these different factors which could possibly go into this. Okay, but if we're looking, even though we have all these correlates for different factors of victimhood, I would still say there's primary correlates. In this case, I would say the primary correlate is death. And so I would ask that even in an abortion, I would assume that this type of trauma and stuff like this at 9 months would also exist for women. So why would the baby be the primary victim? That's the question.
Yeah, I don't really want to speak on the abortion. So.
Okay.
She doesn't want
I
to
just don't
engage on
want
that.
to.
That's fine. I will just really quick, last thing here. Nick, you know that Ukraine split screen that we have? I'll have you pull that up. Nope, not yet. Okay, it's okay. I should have been more clear. Okay. You guys are all familiar with the Ukraine conflict, correct? Mm-hmm. Oh, actually, wait. Before I do that, ask her if a woman goes to war, who's the primary victim of war? If we switched it,
I already answered this question.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, with you. You said the same thing. You said if your husband got his leg blown off and you had to go and you got, whatever the war, and you had to fight, would he be the victim too? I mean, I already stated that I think both are the victims. So,
Okay.
yes.
So there's a very recent conflict, the Ukraine-Russia conflict. So this one's an interesting one because it's much more recent. We're all familiar with it, I'm assuming. So Ukraine is kind of the perfect microcosm of the inconsistency inherent in feminism. Women are the equals of men until the bombs start to drop. Now, I'll ask you once more for everybody who said it's both. In the Ukraine conflict, who's the primary victim of war, men or women, starting with you?
I am not familiar enough on this situation or educated enough on this situation to speak on it. Like, just plain and simple.
Well, but you were able to, for the previous question, you were
I don't
able
know
to say
what's
both.
going. I don't know what's going on.
Well,
I
you are
haven't.
familiar that there is a war in Ukraine, correct?
Okay. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, are you asking specific to that? Are you asking specific to that war?
Mm-hmm.
I
Or you
don't
just
know
don't
what's
know
going
enough.
on
Okay. What about you?
in that war, if I'm going
You
to be
said
honest.
both. You said both. Does your answer change at all when it comes to Ukraine?
Who's the primary victim in war with the Ukraine?
Of the Ukraine war,
I
men
mean,
or women?
Aren't women fighting in that war?
There
aren't
are
the
some.
citizens?
There are some women.
I guess whoever the
I mean,
Let's assume that 5% of the military is female. Go ahead and answer the
but
question.
aren't the citizens fighting the war as well, not just the
The what?
military? Aren't the citizens of Ukraine fighting the war,
Yeah, if
not
you
just the
adopt
military?
Well,
So then it would be
let's-
both, because they're both fighting.
somebody.
I mean, I think both, regardless of if the woman is fighting or not. So.
No, civilians aren't really fighting in the war, no. There's some incidences of that, but it's primarily the two military forces, and civilians are doing what they usually do in war and supporting the military operations via support roles.
Then I guess the primary victim would be whoever's the bigger statistic. Which I don't know.
I mean, that's what he was proving. That's what he's trying to make his whole point this whole time.
I mean, it's overwhelmingly men who are dying in the war, for sure.
Facts.
But that's every war. it's overwhelmingly men who are dying in every war. Doesn't matter if it's that
And who's starting
conflict
all
or a
these
different
wars?
conflict.
Probably men.
Not the men that are fighting in it.
Yeah, definitely not. You know, war is a
Those are the men we're
rich
talking
man's
about.
game.
Well, I mean, war like affects everybody. It's gonna hurt families. It's gonna hurt children and everyone. So I feel like there's not really, you can't even compare two different types of pain, because if someone's staying at home, they're still gonna be hurt and affected by the people that are fighting in the war. Like if my, son gets drafted, I'm gonna feel the pain of that just as much as he might be feeling the physical pain. So I feel like, again, it's both, because you can't really compare physical and mental pain.
But that
You don't
really
know
wasn't the
feeling it.
question.
What's
The question was, who is the primary? You,
But
all
we're
this
saying
other
both.
it's like mental
You guys
gymnastics
are not
to come to
understanding
longer
that.
answers.
We're saying both. It's
You guys
not
just
mental
aren't liking the
gymnastics.
answer.
Exactly.
Well, you guys are
Exactly.
simply just
That's
not
what we're
liking the
saying.
answer. You guys
no,
want
because
more
we're
saying
giving
it's
why
both.
we feel like it's both, and we're saying it's not just a physical aspect. It's also an emotional aspect and not just that, but it's a lot of other things that. Women have to pick the pieces up on in war, and so that makes them less of a victim because they didn't die in it. I agree with that.
Okay,
That's my opinion.
So I'll just kind of where I'm going here with the
they're
Ukraine
all
conflict. I don't know. Did you weigh in on this? Did you give a
I mean, yeah, I guess both.
still both? Okay.
I'm gonna say both.
So I'll just give you guys an additional information and see if it changes your mind at all. So at the breakout of the war, there was a decree by the Ukrainian government that required all military age men, in fact, even very old men, so all men between the ages of 18, I believe, to either 60 or 65, had to remain in the country. They could not flee, they had to stay, whereas women and children could leave. And in fact, a great many women, millions of women, fled Ukraine. They were not compelled to join the military or anything like that in the same way that men were. Knowing this additional information, this inequality, that the men had to stay, I think if they got caught, they could face punishment, they could go to jail, fines, etc. Knowing just this additional piece of information, does that change your answer at all?
Sure, a little bit.
Into the mic, please.
I said sure a little bit. I think, I guess that would make them more of a victim, but that makes them a victim of their own country and, politics and physical.
Well, a victim of their own country, but their
because
country's
your
at
country,
war.
of course, which it's
And if the wartime policy is to allow every single woman in the
but you
country,
can't leave. You're being. Then that's America does it too. So there's a draft, and you have to go if they say you got to go. That sucks. That is
okay,
like that.
does it change your answer at all, knowing this extra piece of information?
I mean, I kind of have the same feeling. Men are more of the victim of physical pain, because even if it's vice versa, if the men were staying home.
Do you think war is strictly physical injury?
Oh no.
Have you heard about this?
No, it's strain.
Have you heard
It's
about
PTSD.
shell shock?
Yeah.
It's PTSD. I understand
Have you heard
that.
of shell shock?
Yes, I understand that.
Okay, so why do you keep going to this? Well, in the physical realm, men suffer more.
Because if you go onto a war field versus stay at home, how are you? Are you more likely to get bombed? Yeah. Physical pain. If you walk out into a minefield versus staying at home.
I guess where I'm confused here is you're saying, well, men on the physical realm they have it worse, but in the psychological, mental realm.
Oh no, that's terrible. No one can
But so I don't really understand, because you say both. So if you say both, wouldn't you follow your argument up from, well, men on this hand have it worse, but women on this hand have it worse. But I failed to see on which hand women have it worse when it comes to war.
I wouldn't say worse. It's just bad. War is bad. There's no good war. There's
Let
no
me
one
ask you a
in the
question.
right.
If somebody stole $5 from you versus somebody stole your entire life savings, I don't know how much your life, maybe if it's $5, it doesn't matter, but which one would be worse?
Definitely life savings.
Okay. Because of the magnitude in which someone has deprived you of your belongings, in this case, your money.
Yeah, are you comparing that to the men in war? Is that the statistic?
Well, if a woman trips and falls and get a boo-boo,
Well, I mean,
versus a man gets a shell impaled through his body.
Yeah, that blows.
One's worse than the other.
But his kids at home, it's just as bad. His kid. I mean, it's not. No, it's not just as bad. I take it back. But the kids at home are still gonna feel shit. The mom's gonna feel shit. So
yes, I don't disagree with you.
So I guess arguably men would have it statistically worse, but okay, now I'm gonna change my answer because men statistically would have it worse, but
Okay.
I guess my point is that the people at home are still gonna feel that too.
And then what about you?
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, it sounds like you're coming from a physical standpoint, so physically.
No, I'm speaking in totality.
Okay, yeah. I mean, arguably because they experience both mental pain and physical pain, I would say statistically, yeah, but I'm not taking away from those who are suffering back at home as well.
Yeah,
No,
just
everyone's a
neither
victim
am
of
I.
sucks
war.
for everyone.
Yeah.
Nobody ever
That's
denied
not the
that
argument.
that the women aren't victims of war.
Women
of course they
absolutely
are.
suffer.
Primary victims.
Women absolutely suffer, but thank you, Abigail. The original question was, who is the primary?
I still
That means there
think-
can be a secondary.
I still think it's situational.
I think it could be situational
What do you
if
mean?
like if the man got killed and then the son, like let's say
Yeah.
a woman had a son and then he like went in a spiral and died too. I think that the mother
So
would be the
wouldn't
primary.
men still, if she has a son, wouldn't men still be the primary victim? Because that's a male.
What
That's
if
a
it's
double,
daughter, though?
yeah.
What if she?
What if
it's
she-
a daughter?
yeah,
what if
what if
it-
it's a
I mean,
daughter?
she does the same thing. She spirals out. My dad died in war. I hate life now.
Yeah.
That's
That's
my,
tough
that's
one.
my dad. I love my dad.
But wouldn't she then be
But
a
you just don't feel as
secondary?
sympathetic
Wouldn't she be a
the woman.
secondary victim?
Secondary.
Because her father was the primary
victim, yeah.
Also, I would like to say, so yes, you have a whole family that's losing their father as he goes off to war, but you have the father that's losing his whole family as he goes off to war.
Yeah,
They're
not
at
everyone.
home. He's at war. They have each other.
Yeah.
He has himself.
That's exactly why we're saying both.
Anyways,
No.
there's one. Nick, can
But
you pull
I'm
up that
also-
photo of Ukraine? Then we'll move it on.
When you
With
said when you said the whole statement
Ah.
about $5 versus life savings, were you comparing life savings to death? Is that what it was?
I wasn't.
Were you trying to- 'cause
It
you
was
were
more
saying-
of an analogy, I
Or
guess.
yeah,
but
analogy.
I
Were you-
wasn't comparing. Obviously, death is worse than losing your life
Okay,
savings.
obviously. But what I'm asking is, when you did that analogy, is it worse to lose $5 or is it worse to lose your life savings?
10,000. Yeah.
Whatever. Life savings is what you were saying. Were
Sure.
you saying life? Were you trying to kind of compare losing? Obviously not compare, but was your analogy with life savings? You know,
Well, when
Is-
you
I
Were
don't
you trying to say-
I don't understand your question. I'm sorry.
when you brought up that analogy, what was your point? What were you trying to prove?
I was trying to, I guess, differentiate by degrees of harm, degrees of hurt. So, for example, if somebody stole $5 from me, I'd be upset for like 30 seconds.
Okay.
If I went and saw my bank, looked at my bank statements and saw that all my money had been drained, the degree of like anxiety response I would have, the degree of, and assuming it's like unretrievable, like
Yeah.
it's gone, I've lost my money, I am like distraught. There's legitimate concerns over,
So
can I afford
life-
rent? Can I
yeah,
do like that?
of course.
So there's bigger ramifications.
So
there.
life savings drained. What was the comparison to the, men in
I
war?
just explained it to you.
No, I'm asking what was the comparison?
I don't
the
understand
men in the
your
war
question.
were
Oh,
the
he's-
life savings
Well,
because the men in the
he's
war were
giving
getting war
a
deprived
he's giving
from
a
them.
scalability, right? So like an order of operations to scalability. If I steal a penny from you, it's going to affect you less than if I steal $5 from you. It's going to affect you less than if I steal 100. It's going to affect you less than if I steal 1,000, et cetera, right? So on a scale of how much you've been victimized, you would say if somebody stole $5 from you, it would victimize you less than if they stole your entire life savings. So he's saying the ultimate thing here, though, is your life. At the end of the day, that is
So your
the
life. So
ultimate
meaning that the man,
Yeah,
the
that's the
hypothetical
ultimate
man in
value
war
that
has
you
passed
have,
away.
yeah.
Meaning the hypothetical man in war has passed away. Your life. Meaning the hypothetical
life,
man
yeah.
in war has passed away. Right.
Yeah.
So in that situation, I think the other person is a bigger victim because the man has
Why?
passed away. He's no longer experiencing mental trauma. The man has passed away. He experienced death, which obviously is horrible. But now the people at home, the women,
Yeah, they have to carry
They
that.
are carrying
They have
on.
to carry on with that.
So do
and
you
they,
think
and they have to
that-
go
okay,
teach
so
their,
let's,
their
let's
children
kind of-
and their
let's
so
children.
that's why I'm
examine
saying
that. So
this
you
question is situational because
So then, by this logic, then you think it's better to be dead than be alive with trauma?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
honestly, yeah.
And are
really just
all of you
depends.
traumatized?
Are all of us traumatized?
Like in general?
So, haven't you experienced trauma? Isn't psychological
every
trauma
person
pretty much
has,
all of it?
yeah.
And aren't you living with trauma? Then why aren't you unaliving?
because maybe it's not that deep.
It's situational. Like I don't know why you can't understand that it's
Yeah,
situational.
I agree. It's situational. But what I'm saying to you is that it's beyond obvious to me that people would much rather live with trauma than be dead. That seems obvious.
I mean, a lot of people kill themselves. No, it's not because a lot of people kill themselves every year. So
a lot of people,
especially Americans,
how many
pass
people
away.
choose to live with trauma rather than unaliving?
Actually, a lot of people pass away from self-inflicted injuries because
Very
of the
few.
trauma they've been
a lot of people kill themselves,
No, not
especially
a
in
lot.
America.
lot of people died of
A whole
suicide.
lot more people live with trauma than unalive themselves
But a
from trauma.
lot still unalive
Wait.
themselves
But can
because
you,
of that.
like, what statistic, like, can you pull that out of and say, like, yeah, these people live with trauma? Like, you're just saying.
So
stuff.
therefore,
Like,
can you just
anybody could
like say that
I'm
it's
just saying,
situational?
okay, I'm
like
just saying,
I don't
so
know
well,
why.
let's just see
Well,
if
'cause
we
you
can
guys are being
agree
very
if it's obvious or
statistical,
not.
so-
You
How
guys are
many
looking at this
women
black
as a
and white.
percentage, as a percentage, do you think live with significant trauma? Over 20%?
Yes.
If it's over, do you think that women are unaliving themselves at a rate of 20%?
I mean, I don't know the percentage,
know.
but I know that
You don't
every
know
year
if
it goes
women
up.
are unaliving
People want to
themselves
kill
at a rate
themselves
of
every year it goes
20%?
up,
No, they're not.
which means people are dealing with a lot of trauma and they don't want to live with
If
it.
you lost 20% of a population in a war, it would be the biggest bloodbath known to man. 20% is astronomical. We're talking about astronomical numbers. There's no way, it should be completely obvious to you that there's no fucking way 20% of women unalive themselves due to trauma. That's just insane.
I didn't say that.
There's no way you
You're
could
the
ever
one who
believe
no
said
one
that.
said that.
You're the one who
Like,
brought
look
up
it up.
20%.
Yeah, I don't know what
No,
percentage.
no,
I know that.
asked,
We didn't
do
know what
think
you
it's
meant by the whole
Suicide is very
20%.
high in America, and I know every year.
Bro, you're not listening to the logic, right? You talk more than you listen, and yet I've been sitting here listening, not talking. So the thing is what I asked specifically was this question. Do you think that more women unalive themselves due to trauma or live with the trauma? And she's like, well, I don't know. Okay, well, if that's the case, do you think that at least more than 20% of women experience significant trauma? Yes. Are they unaliving themselves? No, they're not.
Well, however,
Not-
But,
not-
you're
not
you're
those
not.
rates.
No,
They're
you're
not
not.
even
No,
close.
because I don't feel like what you're saying is like real statistics. You're just throwing numbers out and saying, is that 20%
just
of women who
testing the
experience
logic.
20% of women who experience high trauma, are they unaliving themselves? A lot of them might be. Who, like, can you tell me?
How many
like,
do you
can you
think
tell me?
are?
Because I can't tell you. Huh?
Well, how many do you think are? So
I don't
out of-
know.
let's say you have. Let's just do
Somebody
it
just
easy.
make-
Let's just do it easy. If you have 30 women who are experiencing severe trauma, do you think 15 of them are going to unalive
I
themselves?
think no, not 15, but 3.
Do you think
probably
10?
3 out of 30. Probably
Maybe
that's
like
10%.
Three out of 30?
3.
whatever
That's a
you
lot.
look up is going to be like too big of a statistic anyway. Like I don't think it matters if it's like 5% or 20%. It's a lot. It's bad. Like it's too many. One is too many. An attempt is too many. So no matter, it doesn't even matter that it's like 20%. It's too much. Like I don't even
Yeah,
know.
but
Like,
the
look it
point
up.
of the question is to make the determination as to whether people would rather, if it's obvious that people would rather live with trauma rather than not. It seems that that would be self-obvious to everybody in existence, considering that most people, the overwhelming majority, the vast majority of all of humanity, does not unalive themselves, even though many of them experience massive trauma. They're not unaliving themselves.
But lots of
So
them
I
are
don't-
still suffering horribly.
But do the
Yeah,
percentage
they
on
could. They
that.
could be
People who are-
suffering, but if they're making the choice not to
Suffering
unalive
massively, how
themselves,
many
then it
what's
seems
the
that they
percentage of
consider
them
that
that
to
kill
be the
themselves?
superior position,
Bad.
right? It seems that they prefer to be alive. That seems
He's
to be the
arguing
superior
your
position.
guys' statement that it's better to live with trauma than die. Or that it's worse to
I
live
think-
with trauma than die.
I think
Yeah.
it's
I
situational.
think every
That's
person
a
has
statement that
trauma.
you guys made.
I don't think every person has serious trauma. Now, what one person might consider serious is
I think just because
very
somebody
opinion
chooses
We're
to stay
subjective.
alive
Very
throughout their
subjective.
trauma doesn't mean
But to
that
people
they
who
are
are
happy about
experiencing
that.
mass trauma, like very high levels of stress and trauma, and are very not well in their head, like mentally disturbed, how many of these people are unaliving themselves? Probably a decent, percentage of them.
yes, but
Now,
it is-
I'm not saying 50%, maybe 3, 4, 5 to 10% might be, and that's still.
Okay,
it's-
you know what? Let me just ask this in the most
So
basic
sure,
way
yeah,
possible.
then-
I've been
then- no,
thinking
no,
about
then
how I
your
can
point
ask
is,
this
yeah,
in a
you're
way that
correct.
you guys
Would you
would
rather
just
live with trauma? Yeah, because-
intuitively. Hang on, let me just ask this in a way all of you would just intuitively kind of understand. Do you think if you went to most people, men and women, and you asked them this question, if you push button A, you're going to have experience serious trauma. And if you push button B, you're going to die. Which button do you think they would push?
Starting with you, go ahead.
I feel like it depends on the person.
Do you want to get shot or do you want to get raped? That's the question.
That's not the question.
Like,
That's not what I said.
no, it actually is the question.
Would you rather die or would you rather
No,
be raped?
it
Like, that's
actually is the question.
It depends on the type of
It
trauma.
literally
my
is the
question.
question.
It's situational.
That's not
once again.
my question.
But
My
that's trauma.
question was,
Crazy trauma
Button
versus
A.
dying. What would
Button
you
A.
rather choose? Pick
That's not my question. Stop. Here's the question again. Don't rephrase the question.
No, it's like comparing apples to
Okay?
oranges.
The question is, button A, you experience significant trauma. Button B, you die on the spot.
But he
A lightning bolt shoots out of the sky and you die. Those are your two options. Do you think most people would choose button A or button B?
I think people would choose the trauma, but I think would they regret that? They might. I think a high percentage might.
Why do you think they would choose the trauma?
Because when you're after you have dealt with the trauma, now I'm living with this crazy wild shit when I could have just died. You might at that point
No. My
decide
question
it was.
why do you think they
I
would
should've chose
choose
to just die?
the trauma?
'cause Screw
Why do you
living
think
with
they
this
would
trauma.
choose the trauma?
Huh? Because they don't
Why do you
know.
think
I
they
mean,
would choose it?
unless they know what the trauma is. Like if the like I said, if it's like, okay, what's the choice? Like I die or I get raped. Like
It's situational.
$200.
Because the trauma could.
Why does it always seem to me they put the dumbest and retarded girls at the end of the table?
So the trauma could be, you know,
Thank you,
okay,
Puppet. All right, thank you,
you've
Hunter.
dealt with, I don't know, like a little bit of whatever the fuck, like being made fun of in second grade, right? Like you'd probably prefer to live.
I'm more
Shit's
educated
rough.
than most of y'all.
seriously.
If the
Grade was
trauma,
rough.
if the trauma is emotional trauma, I'd press the trauma button. If it's medical trauma, I'm pressing the death button.
You raising your hand over here. You haven't spoken much. Go ahead.
Well, it depends, because I mean, everyone, everyone's trauma is valid, but like, I mean, if I were to have these two buttons in front of my face, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what would happen after death, but I would
What medical
choose trauma. I
do
would
you
choose trauma.
experience if your husband dies at war?
What medical MS?
What medical trauma are you experiencing? What are you talking about? It would all be psychological.
Oh, all
right?
psychological. Okay, yeah, psychological.
Yeah, it would all be
okay.
psychological. So
Okay,
the thing is
yeah.
that when we're talking about trauma here in this context, we're talking
Okay.
about severe psychological trauma, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather push? Do you think most people would choose button A or button B? Do you think intuitively most people would push button A or button B? B is death. A is psychological trauma.
A.
They would definitely choose A.
Nope,
But
not
does
Then
mean
that
they'd
would
be happy
should give
with
you
that?
some self-apparent evidence that the death portion for most people is the non-preferable option. That's just basic logical demonstration. If intuitively you think almost
have a
everybody
question.
would
Can I ask you a
choose
question?
the button to not die, then it seems self-obvious that people would rather be traumatized than dead. It seems obvious, right?
So if you were like a little kid, right, like back in like Nazi Germany or Jewish, and you had the option before Hitler came in, you had the option to
What is
either.
Godwin's law? Okay, let's use any analogy
No.
besides,
So you could go through all
Nazis.
this trauma, right? You could go get sent to extermination camp, be severely
No, we're not going to get into
abused.
that. Use
Yeah,
any
no.
analogy but
Listen,
that.
listen.
Use
Stop.
any analogy
Use a
but
different
that one.
analogy.
I have an analogy. You get in a
It's
car
because
accident.
it's because it's listen.
No,
it's not
because
because
I'm gonna ask, would you
I
rather
don't mind
die?
the analogy.
Stop.
Listen,
Or not
I
the
don't mind the
emotional trauma?
analogy. The terms of service
If
for
you knew what
the
it was.
platform we're on, they mind the analogy.
Had you
So
guys been
just
on
use any
time
other
today,
analogy.
had you guys been on time today, we would have been able to have gone through the entire pre-show and have given you the instructions about what to avoid. Go ahead.
Here's an analogy. Let's say you leave here tonight and you get in a terrible car accident and you wake up in the hospital and you've broken legs, you have severe damage, medical to your body and it's psychological. Are you going to say, I wish I would have died?
I
Because
mean,
that's-
I feel like that's not.
You would be grateful
that's
to
not
be
extra
alive.
that's
Yes,
traumatic,
I would
but
wanna
it's
live
not
like
like to the extreme of what a trauma somebody could deal with in trauma. So, like going and getting in a car accident is trauma, yes, but that
Yeah,
doesn't
you lost a
mean.
loved one in war. That's your trauma.
Both your legs are amputated from this accident. But you're still grateful to be alive.
Oh,
It's
here.
like-
So here, let's just make it even simpler. Button A is you experience all of the trauma a person would experience losing a loved one in war, or button B, you die instantly. Which button do you think most people would push? Button A or button B?
Depends on the person. It's situational.
All right.
Most people, I'm just asking for most people, which button do you think most people would push?
I just don't think
Doc
that's
Venabilly donated
something you can
$200.
ask.
Rate of major depression, maker of emotional trauma, in US Fem is 26% per 100K. Rate of self-delete is 5% per 100K for Fem.
Yeah.
Most people rather live with severe adversity than death. End idiocy now.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing.
Andrew, may I ask you why?
Yeah, go ahead.
Bro, it's
May I
obvious.
ask you why?
Hold on.
Final Wave Feminism donated $200. 10 plus years interviewing thousands of women. To reach the same conclusion as the most intelligent, respected theologians, philosophers, etc., women are children. They require top-down guidance.
Okay. May I ask a question?
Thank you, Final Wave Feminism.
Yeah, I'd like to hear your question.
Why is it so black and white to you? Why can't you understand that there's layers to things and that people are different and it can't just be one or the other? Like every single person is different. One person may be okay with living with.
I agree.
Okay, so then why are you trying to argue that with us?
Because
we're all saying both.
So I'm going to explain. So I can grant this to you and say every single human being is different with different preferences. Everything from whether or not they like pineapple on pizza or pepperoni, right? All the way down to the little micro nuances. However, there seems to be shared intuitions that most people have that you would agree that we have, right? So here's a good example of a shared intuition. Taking people's shit that they don't want you to take, they don't like that. That seems to be a shared intuition all over the world. For instance, is there anybody at this table who prefers that people take their stuff away from them? Anybody? Show of hands. A single person who prefers, no, not a single one. Seems like that's a shared intuition, even though all of you have totally different preferences about all sorts of things. So if there's that shared intuition, why shouldn't I think that there could be other shared intuitions like trauma, people wanting to live with trauma rather than death, which could be self-obvious just based on the fact that you think most people would push button A or button B. That seems like now we're getting into, well, we share some sort of intuition here, right?
I hear what you're saying. I really do. But I just...
No, well, I'm glad that you hear it. I'm actually looking for a counter argument.
If you let me speak. If you let me speak.
Go ahead.
If you let me speak, I could give you that. I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. Yes, there's shared intuitions. Obviously, people don't want their shit taken, right? But not everybody is the same.
Yeah, but we've already established that.
So then what are you trying to say?
Dude, can we establish right now that nobody in the room with you is the same as you?
But that's so much different than somebody saying that they'd rather live with trauma.
Today's Father's Day. My sister has cancer. I had brain surgery. My brother is disabled. My mother is sick. I work 3 jobs. All of you, please carry your cross.
Amen.
Thank you for the 200. But yeah, so back to this just real quick. You agree that everybody in this room is totally different from each other, right down to their preferences. Even the way that you just took a drink of that drink that you have, water, whatever it is going to be different than how the gal next to you drinks that cup of water. We're going to agree it's totally layered and nuanced all the way down. But that doesn't mean that we don't share some intuitions which make us human beings. And a seeming intuition I can point to right now is you don't want your stuff taken from you. That is yours.
Then if
everyone in that room agree. Now, hang on. Wouldn't you agree that almost nobody in the whole world wants you to take their stuff away from them?
Yeah, absolutely.
Then that's a shared intuition.
It is
so
a
what's
shared
wrong with this
intuition.
analogy of a shared intuition that people would rather be alive with trauma than dead? That seems like a shared intuition.
Well, you're saying it seems like, and you're asking for facts from us, but you're not giving us
I'm just
facts
asking
either.
you what it seems like. I'm not even asking you for a fact. I'm just asking you, what does your intuition say most people would do in this situation? Push button A
Personally,
or button B?
I think it depends. I think it's situational, and I think it depends on the person.
Okay, but if what would you say to this then? Button A, your shit is taken away from you. Button B, your stuff is not taken away from you.
I would
Which
prefer
button
my
would they
shit
push?
to not be taken away from me.
You're right. So intuitively, everything which you have observed around you your entire life informs you intuitively that that's what they would push. But you didn't need any data You needed no data. You needed no
You asked
anything to
me,
come.
that
Hang
was-
on, stop. I'm almost done. I'm going to let you
was my
counter. I
opinion.
promise I'm going to let you counter. Hang on. You didn't need a single shred of data to come to that intuitively. You didn't need it, right?
That I said I would prefer my shit not to be taken?
No. That you think that you would prefer. You think everybody would push the button for the most part that they didn't want their stuff taken, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think most people don't want their shit taken.
Right. So you can arrive to these intuitive conclusions absent any data at all, just based on observation.
Yeah. But my
Yeah, so
intuitive
that would be an
conclusion.
obvious
Hey, when
observation.
he's talking and you talk, he can't hear you.
But my intuitive conclusion about your question whether people would rather live with trauma or, die, I'm saying I don't know. On that one, I'm saying I don't know. You asked me my intuitive conclusion about if I'd want my shit taken or not. I'm saying personally I'd rather not have my shit taken.
Wait, can you just?
Yeah. So I can agree with you that you may not know the answer precisely. You might say, well, I'm not sure this or that. But then when I kind of counter with, then why aren't people who experience severe trauma unaliving themselves at this kind of massive rate? You would think that if the preference was the other direction, that they would be doing that, and they're not. So it seems intuitive, right?
I get what you're saying, but I'm also not saying that the suffering is equal
All right.
to the
I'm
counter
not saying
argument.
it is either.
That's my point. I feel like for certain people, the suffering is equal to death. And so that's why I'm saying it's situational.
I agree. For certain people,
It
I'm sure it
depends
is.
on the person.
And for
okay,
certain people,
great.
I'm sure that's true.
Exactly. So it's
Yeah,
not
but that
black
has
and
nothing
white.
to do with the argument, though.
It's not black and white. You're asking me about my shit being taken or it not being taken. I'm saying I'd rather not have my shit taken. I feel like most people would rather not
No,
have
you're
their-
not. You're saying that most people, you think most
I
people
just said
would
that.
prefer not to have their
I literally
stuff
just
taken,
said
right?
that. I think most people would rather not have their shit taken. But for this other
Yeah.
argument, I'm saying I don't know.
All right, you guys
Yeah,
are kind
right.
of going in circles.
Okay, so I just
Yeah.
want to make sure I got this right. You cannot come to an intuitive conclusion that you think most people would prefer death over trauma. I just
I
want to make
think
sure we got that on record.
It
You're not
depends. It depends on the person.
sure. I said most people.
It depends on the person.
Okay, so you're not sure.
I'm
So
not
again,
gonna
then-
give you
so
the
then if
answer
that's
that
the
you
case,
want. It
then you're
depends on
not
the
sure
person.
that most people wouldn't choose death.
It depends on the person.
And
Yeah, I know,
she's
but
not
I'm
gonna.
okay. but
I'm
it
not
can't.
gonna give you the answer
It
that
can't-
you
it
want,
can't.
Andrew.
Because it's most, right?
I'm really not.
If you're not
it
sure, then
depends.
what you're saying,
Perfectly
if you
okay.
answer-
Andrew, I'm
listen,
not.
you have to
Listen to
listen.
me. I'm not gonna give you the
Uh-huh.
answer that you want. It depends
You don't
on
need
the
to.
person.
You can just sit there and be quiet while I explain it. That's fine too.
Okay, great.
So the thing is that here's your logical extension so that you understand it while you look away. But you're still going to hear me because you have to, right? You need to understand this. The logical extension of you saying it depends on the person. When I ask you, what do you think most people would do? You say, I don't know. That's what you're saying. I don't know. Which means the logical entailment of that is you don't know if most people would choose death or trauma. That's the extension.
Yeah, and it literally roots back to all of us saying both men and women.
I got to move it on, Andrew. I
Okay.
got to move it on. Do you want to make a final point?
No, I think I made the final point already.
Okay. So last thing on that thing, I have some more questions here. We're going to go around the panel. I did actually really quickly, I'll just show you the Ukraine thing, then we'll move on from the war thing. Nick, if you could pull it up. So on the left here, you have Ukrainian women who are screenshotted on dating apps when they were able to flee to Stockholm and the United Kingdom and Barcelona and Lisbon. And where's the nice place in Portugal? Is that Portugal or Spain?
Lisbon.
Is that Portugal? Anyways, Ukrainian women were found on Tinder trying to go to the club, trying to, get their hot girl summer on, whatever. That's what you have on the left. Ukrainian women on dating apps and Tinder trying to get dicked down by foreign men. On the right, well, we can't show it, but on the right, you have dead Ukrainian men and soldiers. I'll ask the question one more time. If that picture is a manifestation of not just the Ukrainian conflict, the Ukraine conflict, but all wars throughout history, perhaps excluding the Tinder, Do any of you
Tinder.
do any of you
How about the
who
women
said
that are
both
hurt?
change your mind? Seeing that image.
I mean, how about the women that are like actually suffering, not the women that you just
Yes,
put up
there are
on
women.
Tinder?
Primary.
So then stop talking about just women who are on Tinder.
You
Like,
brought up exactly.
none
hello,
of
there
the
are women
women
who are
are on
suffering,
Tinder.
and then there's women who are on Tinder. Like what?
I think the point is the women are alive and still living their lives.
But not every woman
Exercising-
who is
Can't
alive
believe
and
that,
dealing with
yeah.
the suffering due to their husband or their
Yes,
father
not-
going
not
off.
every. Here, let me.
And also
let,
with
hold
the-
on,
with
hold
the
on, fine. I'll
Ukrainian
just
men.
engage with you on this. Okay,
honestly-
I'll just engage with you. Hold on.
Do you think the
I'll just
Ukrainian
engage with
men
you.
are-
I'll engage with you
Okay,
on this.
sure.
Okay, so yes, not every single woman is on Tinder, but if you're a Ukrainian man, there's 0 Ukrainian men that are on Tinder in Stockholm, in
There's none?
Oslo.
You don't think there's any Ukrainian men in Tinder in any of those places? You- honestly. And think about the older men too
Are you
that
just
aren't
being
fighting
bad
in the
faith
war.
intentionally? Are you trying to argue that there's just as many men?
Did I say that?
Do you recall when I said no, men could not leave the country?
Not any men.
So it's actually plausible, yes, no, from the age of 18 to 60 or 65, men could legally not leave the country. If you did, you would be imprisoned, you'd be punished. They
Right.
beat a lot of the men who did try to flee.
Right.
If you see videos of these men trying to cross the border, the Ukrainian military police will apprehend these men and often beat them.
So no, they're
So,
not
hold
on
on.
Tinder.
What
but
does
It
that
actually,
have to do
it
with
actually
Tinder?
would be fair for me to say that there's a good probability, at least, I don't know how things have changed. I still think men can't even leave the country. This is now, we're 2-3 years into this conflict. I think it actually would be fair of me to say that there are no men in Stockholm, no Ukrainian men in Stockholm, just partying it up, swiping on girls,
Well,
fucking hot Swedish chicks.
I mean,
Then
to
pull up the
hold on.
statistic.
To
statistic.
Yeah, the statistic.
I
sure.
don't need a statistic.
But,
Hold on.
but
Let me answer
I'm
her
sure
thing.
there was
the statistic
Ukrainian men
is that you can
that weren't in the country when it went to war.
Do you hold on? Do you doubt my assertion that men between the ages of 18 to 60 were precluded, were not allowed to leave the country? I could pull up a CNN, I
definitely
could
not
pull up
saying that.
BBC. Tell me the news organization which you respect, and I'll gladly pull it up.
I honestly do not know what this has to do with Tinder. All I'm saying is that I'm sure there's men who are on Tinder in Ukraine.
No.
Listen. I think there's Ukrainian men on Tinder,
Some-
but
you can't
they
just-
probably
you can't
weren't. They
reason with
probably
some
weren't
people.
in the country when the war happened. They probably are maybe half citizens of other countries. Maybe they already fled the country. Maybe they weren't
Okay.
there. So
How
there might
about
be.
here.
But to the statistic that was there, sure they are the primary victims. If that's what you want to hear.
That's not the argument I'm trying to make at all. But
But do you think that the Ukrainian men don't feel like their women that are fighting this war in Ukraine? You don't think that they feel like their women, their daughters, and their grandmothers are not suffering? You don't feel like that? They don't feel like that themselves?
Again, that's not the argument I'm making.
Could you tell us
But
the
that's-
argument you're trying to
but-
make?
But
Like,
we're just
Do
having
you
a
guys
debate.
know the definition of primary?
Yes, they're all suffering. Yes.
Yes.
The daughters are suffering. The
Women,
mothers are
Ukrainian
suffering. The wives
women
are suffering.
are suffering.
Yeah, and I just agreed with you.
What is the argument you were trying to make? Just tell us so we
I've
can.
literally repeated it multiple times.
Please say it again. Yeah, please say it
That
again.
men
Men-
are the primary victims.
Men
of
are
war.
the primary victims of war, and I've provided several examples.
So what does this have to do with
mean,
these specific men being on Tinder? Like genuinely.
What? It's the women who are
I
on
think she's
Tinder.
just saying-
It's Ukrainian women. It's to illustrate
But they're
the
not
difference.
victims because they're on Tinder.
It's to illustrate the
Even though their
difference.
fathers might have died.
As a
even though
woman-
they might be on Tinder
They're
and doing the
victims,
crazy
but they're
shit
not
they're
the
doing.
primary victims because they have the privilege to be on Tinder and not in war.
I'm just saying,
All right,
why
I'm
did
just
you?
gonna move it on.
No, like genuinely, like why did you
Women
get
are definitely
pictures of like
victims of
random
war.
pictures of girls on Tinder and compare them to dead bodies?
Literally, that is
I'm
the
just confused.
that
with
is
the
the
photo.
most ridiculous comparison
How
I've
is
ever
that
heard in my life.
ridiculous?
Because you could use like
How is that?
if they're
It's
leaving the
actually
country,
a
they're not
perfect.
affected.
It's a perfect
Why?
illustration.
Well, because
of
they're
the
on Tinder.
differences.
Because they're on
Enlighten
Tinder,
us,
I guess that
Brian.
means everything's good, right?
That's not
enlighten
okay.
us.
Can
Well,
you
it's just,
actually?
like, weird.
Why don't you just steel man my position instead of straw manning my position?
What does that mean?
This is crazy.
Steel man your position?
Well, I'm just saying, like I'm confused by the picture because
Nobody-
it was like not.
Yeah,
I want to say not comparable.
when somebody says that, like a steel man my position, it just means, can you repeat my argument back to me? That way I know you understand it. That's all it means.
Or men the primary
Oh,
victim
yeah.
of war. Statistically, in this case, yes, it's Ukraine. I mean, men have to be drafted. Statistically, yes. I'm just asking why you are comparing
already agreed with
random
you.
pictures of girls on Tinder to dead bodies.
Okay, are you aware that there's currently a massive military conflict in Ukraine?
I'm aware of that.
Okay. And are you aware that, I've already stated this, men between the ages of 18 to 60 or 65 were barred from fleeing the country.
Yes.
And a lot of those men were drafted into
Yes,
the
it's
war
fucked up.
and they're dead now. Whereas if a woman was so inclined, she could freely leave, she could cross the border, and then she could end up in Stockholm, Oslo, Lisbon, whatever fucking
But what about
really
the women
nice.
who didn't? Why? Like, that's what I'm wondering.
my-
Why you're not comparing them? Like, don't like act like I'm like stupid. Like, I'm
So
genuinely
if,
curious.
let me ask you a question. If I told you that like 0 men between that age range of 18 to 60 or 65 left the country, and millions of Ukrainian women in that age range left the country, what's your argument to that?
No, I'm just asking about the
What
women.
are you asking?
You keep jumping around my question. I'm asking.
I'm not jumping around your question. I've tried to explain it multiple times, but go ahead.
Why did you put pictures of like girls like in provocative poses next to pictures of dead
It was
bodies?
their Tinder profiles.
Why did you hunt
That's
down
them.
Tinder
Yeah, but
profiles? Like that you can't even
Hold on.
compare that.
Hold on. Absolutely.
I'm just like, why would you like hunt down girls with pictures?
I
like,
didn't.
oh, like,
First off,
what?
somebody sent me that.
That's
We didn't make the collage.
That's still weird. Like, I
Why
don't-
is it weird?
Because you're
if it
comparing
illustrates a point.
men who died in war to pictures of girls grabbing their asses on a Tinder profile.
What's your point?
I'm
It's
just
an
saying.
example
Make an
of freedom.
argument. Make
No,
an
I'm aware
argument.
of that, but not.
You're asking, you're
I think it's
asking me
sad
why I did it. You were asking me why
To
did I
put
do
women
that?
second
Make an
to
actual
men as
argument.
victims of war.
Hold on. Make an argument instead
think
of
that's
why would you do that? Just make the argument instead.
I'm just confused on why you're
Why-
attacking me for asking a question.
Huh?
Why are you like getting mad at me asking a question?
Because you're not being like rational. You're not being logical.
either.
No,
Yes,
I'm just saying. You could get pictures of like women like in Ukraine. You could literally get them at their house, and like you went to like whoever
That's where
found that.
we have access to photos. The reason, to answer
mean,
your
I
question,
feel like
hold on,
for-
I was talking. The reason that he showed that picture is because it
Jump over this table.
illustrates that women have the freedom to be able to be on Tinder. They can't get pictures of them in their houses. That's the pictures that they have access to. But it
Tinder
illustrates
pictures.
that women they have the freedom.
Brian, do you have any numbers on human trafficking and blank? This is not to take away from men suffering, which we do not have accurate numbers. Charlie, I don't have numbers on that. Don't know.
Yeah, but no big deal, right? Because what about all the trauma that the men who are in their families
feel
have
like
to
it's very-
experience by those women being trafficked?
I feel
they're
like it's very
they're
sad.
just as much a primary victim as the women.
I feel like it's clear,
I feel
you
like-
guys. I'm so
I feel like
sorry.
it's very sad, especially to Ukrainians at this moment, to compare who's a bigger victim, men or women. And I feel like it's very sad to say women are secondary victims, second victims under men, victims of war in any situation. And I just think that's sad. And that's just me.
I
though.
think-
as
I
a woman,
agree. Hold on.
that's how I feel. Now, as men, y'all might feel differently, and y'all
I think it's
have been
despicable.
suppressing.
I
all
think it's
types of people all the
absolutely
time.
despicable that you
agree.
guys, you know, here's the epic female empathy that you guys are unable to acknowledge a singular realm in which men suffer more than women. I bet every
What did
single
we
one of
just
hold on.
say?
I bet every single one of you would say that in this specific category,
still a
women
wage
suffer
gap.
more. Let me ask you a
They
question.
don't.
When it comes to SA, who suffers more, men or women?
Statistically, women.
So why is
But
it?
men
Why
still
can't you?
suffer. I'm not saying men don't suffer,
Okay,
bro.
but the question is more.
But why is it like poor
More.
men?
Yes. Do men
Poor
get
women.
essayed? Do men get essayed?
Okay, more men are in
Yes.
war.
Men
Men still
run the
get more men
world.
are in war. More women get sexually like assaulted.
So
Like,
who's the
it's, like,
primary victim of SA?
women.
But so why can't you just
Maybe children.
grant in
That men are the
most
primary victims
obvious
of Ukrainian
scenario?
war? Yeah. I never said that men weren't
You
involved
guys
in
literally
Ukrainian
all
war.
said.
I mean, I did.
You all said both. It's
Oh, I
both
didn't.
both men and women.
It's different kinds of
equal.
trauma.
I think war is a different
different.
subject than
I gotta move
sexual
it on.
assault.
And everybody's like
but-
making faces and stuff, but I'm just
But
saying there's like different types
does
of
that
trauma.
mean-
Like
Yeah.
I can't. I mean, I can't reason with it. I got to move it on. I got to move it
I
on.
mean, you got a valid point.
I'm gonna read a couple
Sure.
chats here. Oh, great. Okay. Kill of Serial. Is it worse to abort the child or to abandon it on a stranger's doorstep? Child is alive, but the gamble on the future life of the child would be of concern. Is living through hell worse than death? Hey, Kill of Serial. Thank you, man. I think we did kind of talk about that a little bit already. Yeah, we already asked it. Is it worse to murder the child or to abandon it on the stranger's doorstep? Anybody want to answer that?
Say women can't take accountability, but it sounds like they can't.
All right, we have Maddie Ice. People have family members that die every single day. They aren't out here offing themselves. Really good point, Maddie Ice. Yeah, people go through traumatic things every single day. Death is something that we're all going to experience, whether it's a family member or our own, our own thing eventually, either through illness, old age, et cetera, et cetera. So thank you, man. We have stochastic decay. Who's the primary victim of rape? The woman being essayed or the support system that has to pick up the pieces? I think it's both. Probably somebody's in the bathroom right now. Can you sit down while the person's in the bathroom? Okay. Stochastic decay, who's the primary victim of rape? The woman being essayed or the support system that has to pick up the pieces? I think this is a rhetorical question. I think it's both, probably situational. This panel is retardant. Okay, thank you, man. Charlie Tanner, Brian, do you have any numbers on human trafficking and essay? This is non-state. Oh, that one already came through. All right, thank you, man. Appreciate it. We're going to read a couple more chats here. All right, we have Joe MC. Okay. Joe MC, dude, when I was in Iraq as a Marine, two of my friends.
You're good, keep going.
Two of my friends got cheated on, talk about ultra trauma.
He probably
Okay. Yo, AB Check, thank you for the gifted 50 memberships, dude. You're a fucking legend. Thank you, man. What is everyone's favorite brand of alcohol? All right, light question. Go ahead.
Di Serono.
Huh?
Di Serono.
Okay, go ahead.
Veuve champagne.
I see it, Nick.
I can't drink.
Ooh, I love that blue champagne as well.
Yeah, I can't drink.
I don't drink.
I
They
feel
can't drink, but they probably drink.
I don't drink at all.
All right. This one came through. We have Robert Tanner. Brian, you are wrong on war casualties. Read Anthony Beaver, The Fall of Berlin, 1945. The amount of suffering on the Eastern Front is a terrible suffering during World War II. Well, yes, there were female civilians. There were a few women military casualties, but the overwhelming amount of casualties were men, at least in the military component. And then I believe the civilian component, it's pretty comparable between men and women. So yeah, more men in total died during World War II than women, and more men were injured in casualties of war than women.
And why does the government send men out to war and not women?
I'm sorry, what?
I think we got a problem with the government. No.
Okay,
Never mind.
all right.
You can move on.
Brian and Andrew, you proved tonight that the majority of women lack any type of logic. Okay, Brian Lecomte, appreciate it, brother, appreciate it. Thank you. Hold on. And then we have this one, and then Nick, if you could get those yellows when... Brian, men from Ukraine have fled and are partying. You are wrong, thinking all stayed, and that Ukraine men aren't partying or on Tinder. All the oligarch kids fled. Everyone loses in war. Well, okay, if I can grant you that, yes, some men were probably able to cross the border, some men were able to get out, that doesn't change the fact that all men were barred legally from, like, for example, I think my understanding of United States law when it comes to the border, it's technically illegal to cross into the United States. Does that mean it doesn't happen? For example, being in possession of certain drugs is a crime. Do people still do it? Yes. So the reality is, while some men were able to escape, the vast majority haven't. And if they did escape, they had to go through much more extreme means of attempting to escape as compared to women who could literally cross the border without any harassment or any sort of potential reprisals. They're free to leave. Whereas a guy, if you get caught trying to leave, you're fucked. Major fucked. So yes, some men were able to flee, of course. Most weren't, though. And then AB Check, thank you for the gifted 50 memberships, man. Appreciate it. Nick, if you can hide all those that we went through. Okay, next topic. This is all right. Can you be sexist towards men? Go ahead.
Like me personally, or
no, just in general.
Yeah.
Okay, like can women be sexist towards men?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Yes.
Of course.
Okay. Can you be racist towards white people?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yes.
I guess so.
No, yes. I feel like, I don't know, what's like the definition of racism? It's like making somebody feel like
Bad for their.
less than you or something, or you have
You
have
judge them based off
they're
their
less.
race.
Yeah, but it's more. It's like a deep. Isn't there like a deeper? I don't know. I can't really even speak because I isn't there like a thing like systematic? I don't know. Like
I don't know, you tell us. Remember, you're way more educated than we are.
no, I don't know. I
She
mean,
never said that.
right?
Did say that.
No, I didn't.
No, she
You know what?
didn't.
I'm sure you know what racist means.
Yeah, I mean, isn't it like a thing? I don't know. Isn't it like a thing where I
You're
don't know.
discriminated
I'd have
against
to look at the
based solely
definition.
on
I'd have to
your
look
skin
at the
color.
Let me
definition.
ask
I'll have
some,
my phone.
I'll ask some clarifying questions.
But I don't want to.
So
wanna
can you be
debate.
racist towards black people?
Yes,
Can you be racist towards Asians?
sure. Yeah.
Can you be racist towards Latinos?
Yeah, but I'm white, so I mean, isn't
No,
that
I'm not,
because
I'm not saying you.
I'm a
not
majority.
saying, I'm not saying you. I'm saying in general, can people be racist towards black people?
I mean, they're minorities, so isn't that like? I don't know. I'm
It's
not
just a
sure.
yes or no question.
Yeah, like I don't know.
Okay.
That's my answer.
Can black here? Let me ask you. Can black people be racist towards white people?
No, I don't think so.
Can Asian
necessarily.
people be racist towards white people?
I mean, I don't think so.
Can Latinos be racist towards white people?
I don't think so.
Can any other race besides white be racist towards white people?
I mean, it just. I feel like to my friends that are not white, they've explained this to me before, and I'm not the best one to explain it, so I'm not going to. So yeah.
That's fair.
Okay. What about you?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
I wanted to come back to you. Was that your genuine answer, or are you just kind of saying yes just to say
No, that was
yes?
my genuine answer.
Okay, so you can't be racist towards white people then.
Yeah, I'm also half white, so.
Okay. All right. That's kind of my rapid fire questions. Then we'll get into a couple things. Just going around the table, do you consider yourself a feminist related to dating, you know?
No.
No, not a feminist?
You'll have to come back to me.
I'd say yes.
No.
Sort of.
Absolutely not.
No.
Okay, I'll wait till she's back at the table and to ask her the question. She's coming. There she is. She's coming. She's making her way. She's taking her sweet fucking time. Are you a feminist?
I wouldn't say like an extreme feminist, but yeah, I guess I'm a feminist. I
You
guess.
do consider yourself a feminist? Okay. All right, good to know. Good to know. So those of you who said yes, you're feminist. Oh, you didn't answer. Go ahead.
I think I'd word it like her. Like, not an extreme one, but definitely a feminist.
Okay, so you do you believe in the patriarchy?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, you believe in the patriarchy. Okay.
I've seen good patriarchies, and then I've seen like some that are.
Just answer the question, please.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Like the patriarchy theory.
I don't know much about the patriarchy theory.
But you've heard the term patriarchy, right? Are you opposed to the patriarchy?
Actually, I don't know. Define patriarchy.
Well,
Wouldn't
there's,
that be like a
you're the feminist.
higher?
Hang
there's
on,
higher
hang on.
order.
I'm sorry to cut in, but I don't actually understand. Now I don't know your name, the gal who's sitting from my perspective would be to the right side of the table, second one over, who has been kind of verbally sparring with everyone tonight. What'd you say your name was?
That's you.
Yeah.
Oh, Paloma.
Paloma. Okay. I don't understand why when Brian said, just please answer the question, you went, like, look at this shit. Look at this. Look, what's going on here, right? What's going I don't actually understand that. Think of it from his perspective. He's going around the table and he wants to get everybody's actual answer. If somebody goes on a diatribe right then, how could he get everybody included in the conversation?
I really don't care about answering your stupid questions anymore, both of you guys, so I'm actually gonna go. But you guys have
Well,
a great night.
Do you want to at least, let me ask you just a few more questions if you don't mind.
I mind. What are the questions?
So it's a rage quit?
Hold
I
on.
don't care. Rage
It's
quit.
okay. Let me ask her a couple
It's not
questions.
a rage quit.
It's a rage quit.
Okay, whatever you want to word it.
What did I say that was so offensive to you?
It's nothing you said. I just like really don't have the energy to keep going back and forth
Right.
with you because you want a specific answer and I'm not going to give it and you're going to keep prying and prying until you get that answer and
So
I'm
you're
not going to
just
give it to you.
intellectually dishonest?
I just don't feel like arguing with you anymore. Like plain and simple. You're not somebody I'm obligated to argue with.
No, I agree. You're not. If you want to rage quit, it's totally up to you.
Rage quit, whatever you want to word it. I don't really give a fuck. I'm leaving.
So I'll ask you the
I think this
I'll
is
ask you
stupid.
the I'll ask you the question. So you do believe in the patriarchy, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think that women are oppressed
Yes.
in the United States?
Yes.
And who are men the oppressors?
Yes. There
Okay.
you go.
So, well, I'm asking you some more questions. So,
I'm going to leave.
okay, that is a rage quit. Okay.
This